And we are live with Super Magical Cup. I have no idea what week this is.
Number 4.
Week 4.
Week 4 of Season 2.
Week 4. So far, the Super Magical Cup champions have been Woody, Clyde, and then the new face Grubby have taken first place in the Super Magical Cup Invitational so far. So for number 4, we're looking for the 4th champion or maybe a repeat of the last 3. And there definitely is a possibility here because all 3 of them are participating today. So we could see a repeat winner, or Rumham, do you think we will see a new champion?
Well, the story of Season 1 was definitely that a new player won every week. We never had a repeat champion in Season 1. And so far in Season 2, with Woody and Clyde taking one home, you could argue those are the first repeat people. We've never had someone win 2 events in the same season. So this will be really interesting to see if we can have, Clyde or Woody or Grubby repeat their incredible performances and take a second Season 2 event home. But you know who my money's on?
Who is your money on?
The return of the big names. Because in this week's event, we have both Clark Kent and I believe Justin for the win. Clark Kent, and we scroll down into the bracket, we can actually see a little more.
Let's try to throw that out.
I've noticed that a lot of big Super Magical Cup players who haven't been participating much in the last few weeks are back this week. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put my money on Clark Kent. Clark Kent, who has not played in the last few weeks, has picked up the game again and is returning to claim that throne back.
And the last time he returned in Season 1, he took a hiatus in Season 1 also.
That's right.
And then when he returned, he won first place. So I'm really excited about that. Not just Clark Kent, but remember the storyline last week was that Reddit Alpha was becoming like this big force to be reckoned with. Elite Gaming has been suspiciously quiet in the Super Magical Cup for a long time, as well as Nova, as well as a lot of Clout, right? They've been fairly quiet in the Super Magical Cup.
Well, hold on. Clyde's in Elite Gaming, and he won 2 weeks ago. So Clyde is definitely. But I agree that Elite Gaming used to really come at the Super Magical Cup with numbers. But then again, Naders was in last week. Raintown still plays here and again.
Yeah.
But I agree that they've been really, aside from Clyde, they've been really thirsty for one of those performances where multiples of them get into the top 8. And this may be their week.
What's interesting is Trainer Nick and Trainer Chris, I believe, are from Elite Gaming, like 1 or 2 or one of their branch clans. And they've been doing really well. They've kind of been representing for Elite Gaming, but we've definitely not seen like Raintown, Naders, Clark Kent, Clyde all in the same tournament, which I believe is the case this time around. So let's take a look at this bracket and see what we can see here. Okay, of course, at the top side, we've got some regular qualifier competitors that place high, but still haven't really found their top 8 spot. Let's move down, and this is our first kind of highlight name is Simple versus Clark Kent. And Clark Kent, as you mentioned, is finally making his return. And one of the things that I think we need to talk about for Clark Kent is correct me if I'm wrong, I think you've had a little more time with him, but he is kind of the deck innovator for Elite Gaming in many ways, right?
He's certainly among the many people in Elite Gaming who really try to innovate on their deck lists. I would say that while his mechanical skills are really high, in my memory of Clark Kent, is he was the first person to really bring the minor decks into the Super Magical Cup even prior to minor decks getting buffed and being very popular. He was also, I believe, the first to bring a triple legendary deck into the cash rounds of it. So he's definitely someone who really enjoys the minor archetype and tries to innovate a lot within that. Within that, what'll be interesting is to see if he brings 2 minor decks or if he brings one of the minor furnace decks as well. Because remember, Malcade, who I think is also now in Elite Gaming or maybe a different guild. I'm trying to remember where Malcade was.
He
the
was
first I remember with the minor furnace.
Yeah, Malcade was in a kind of a clan of his own, but I think he kind of bounces in and out of Elite Gaming. Maybe probably just a good friend.
Yeah, good practice.
Essentially like a practice partner for them.
But Clark Kent is going to have a hard time getting in. Well, actually, no, they don't fight each other until the top 8. Clark Kent, and then if you look down, if you scroll down in this bracket, Woody and Clyde are in the same 16-player bracket. So only 2 of those 3 can make it to the top 8.
Yeah. So Clark Kent is kind of aside from both Woody and Clyde, but Woody and Clyde have to face each other, and this is a big, big title match because one of them is not going to the top 8.
We're going to have to watch those games in the group play.
Yep. Yeah, one of them is not going to the top 8, so it could happen as soon as the second round. I mean, it probably would happen as soon as the second round, unless Chicken Bob and T-Bone make some kind of an upset.
And we've seen upsets in the first round. In fact, last week, if we scroll down, Justin for the win, who's a very great competitor, one of the better tournament players in the field, he got bounced in the first round. Just unfortunate matchup.
He's been having trouble this season.
So I think since the Hog Rider nerf, that's really sort of sent back because his main play style was so Hog Rider focused. Brainy Dude is no pushover, though. Brainy Dude has top-8'd a Super Magical Cup this season. So this would be a great opportunity for Brainy Dude to really show off, like, hey, I'm here, I'm in the scene, I'm a named player you should be watching out for.
Moving down, we've got more qualifier heroes, names that are looking to prove themselves. And
Zadian's a big player on Reddit. I'm familiar. I believe he's actually a Reddit mod, maybe something like that. But definitely one of the Reddit alpha, sort of in the Reddit clan system. Maybe not alpha.
Interesting.
Trainer Chris, who top-8'd, actually made it to the finals just a few weeks ago, is back in order to show that it was no fluky one-time performance.
Yeah. Against ESLio, who has been really working hard, really trying hard in the qualifiers, and has been doing fairly consistently, fairly well. So looking forward to see all these qualifier players break out into the bracket.
Flash was last week's favorite. If you remember, a lot of players, Naders, Clyde, etc., watched Flash's games and said, this is someone to watch. This is someone who's going to do it. Already has a top 4 this season under Flash's belt, but another top 4 performance I think would solidify Flash as one of the Super Magical Cup regulars and someone to really watch out for if you see them in an early round.
Absolutely. And the big thing to note here is that Flash and Trainer Chris are kind of going to have to face each other in the round of 16 right before the top 8 cutoff. So it's going to be interesting to see who ends up getting picked to continue. Flash did get kind of, I suppose, upset last week. Let's see if that's the same case occurs this week, and I can't remember exactly what Flash's bracket was last week, but to my recollection, it was pretty brutal.
If I remember, the person who beat Flash did make the top 8, so it wasn't even particularly a fluky upset. Group C's looking pretty competitive. Grubby and Santy. I believe Grubby and Santy played last week in the top 8, so that might be a legitimate top 8. I know Santy has top 8'd the last 2 events in a row, which is great consistency for a new face on the league. And to go up against last week's champion in the first round, Santy has quite an uphill battle to make a top 8 3 times in a row. If so, though, we're going to have to get... I'm going to start watching Santy's matches a lot more often. I'm going to take that. I mean, already 2 top 8s. I'm really excited to see that match.
You know, and the big thing to note here, if it hasn't sunk into anybody yet, is Santy's performance so far is not that different than a player like Malcade's.
Right.
And Malcade is this fantastic player.
Absolutely.
You know? And so
you're right. Malcade's never won a Super Magical Cup themselves.
Yeah.
But we all know Malcade is a top-tier A-list player to watch out for, mostly on the back of multiple top 8 performances in the Super Magical Cup, and, of course, very dominating performance on the in-game tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. So Santy could be following in the footsteps, kind of a Malcade 2.0.
Last week, we thought Master Sparky was going to go real far. We were watching some of Master Sparky's games. We'll hopefully see how it does this week. Got a tough little 8-person bracket to get through, but anything's possible. Vizard, last week's top 8, lost, I believe, to Santy, I think actually in the top 8 round.
And now he doesn't have to face him, but he does have to face Malcade.
And it's not
and
even,
Darth Jar Jar.
And Patriots 34. This might be the toughest little 8-man bracket. Then if you scroll down just a little bit so we can get the whole bracket on the screen. But Vizard, Malcade, Darth Jar Jar, and Patriots 34 on any given week, any of those 4 could make the top 8. Not only mentioning that, like, who knows what kind of breakout performance we could see from Marcel, God, John, or several kanjis I can't pronounce.
yes. Neither can I. Failure to my Asian heritage. And then we have Group D, which is kind of our leftover matches.
Which, good time to point out that we are still working to fill out a full 128-player bracket. If you would like to play in more qualifiers and make it to these weekly bracketed events, go to supermagicalcup.com, sign up for Season 2. We have about 6 qualifiers a week. Play in those qualifiers. If you play in the top 20, you will get you will get an invite to these weekly events, and then come in and play and show us your stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is definitely what's nice about the qualifier system is that week after week now, I feel like we see just top tier matches from the very first round of the tournament, and it makes the top 8 every week just star studded. This is the toughest top 8 to make week in and week out in the Clash Royale community by far.
Absolutely. And, you know, in the first season, sometimes we had those issues where there was just a large collection of top players about to knock themselves out in the first round. but there were always comfortable spots where you could see, oh, here's a pocket where there's just a lot of kind of not really proven players in that section. But now everywhere you look, I mean, in every single coupling, in every single group, it seems like there's a big name player kind of waiting to take that spot now. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think some of these tournaments, if we just took one of these groups and made it a 16-player event, that would be one of the toughest tournaments in the Clash Royale field. We have multiple of these groups feeding into a top 8.
Absolutely. Hashtag make Team Super Magical Cup happen.
Team SMC versus the world.
Team SMC versus the world. All right, so we have our game starting just in a bit. And right out the gates, we're going to be starting from Group A. There's some interesting matches that we should follow. First, I mean, my curiosity is what Clark Kent is coming up to bat with today, what his decks are going to be. And then, depending on what happens at the bottom of Group A, I really want to see Woody versus Clyde, and then we'll kind of move from there and watch how some other competitors are playing, and some of these new faces especially. I want to see a little more Flash's performances, because we didn't really get to see a lot of that last week. So perhaps, this week we might intentionally go and take a look at some of his other games and see how his journey is.
Now, breaking away from the actual players, we've seen a lot of innovation in the meta, the cards that people are actually bringing to the tournament week after week. Last week we saw not just one, but 2 Three Musketeer decks break into the top 4. What is your breakout card prediction for this week?
All right. My breakout card prediction is going to be...
Maybe something we haven't seen in a while, making a little comeback.
Oh, man. Some of the decks that I've been really enjoying is actually Justin's decks. I really want to see them be successful purely because they are going back to the roots of the core of Clash Royale's gameplay, right? Yeah. There's nothing kind of inherently oppressive about the deck. There's nothing like can't defend the miner fast enough so you lose, right? Yeah. There's nothing about his deck that does that. And so it's almost not really a single breakout card, but just the return of just core cards. Cycle? Core cards that are just like, you're going to play your elixir well, you're going to position your troops well, you're going to cycle well, and you're going to outplay your opponent with just very, very kind of root mechanics.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I'm excited for, and included in that, I feel like, is steering away from Poison and going back to Fireball. And if Triple Musketeer continues to be a threat, Fireball players, might find more success.
Nice. I'm gonna go with Big Mama here, Big Mama P.E.K.K.A. I think we saw last week that Three Musketeers was really strong against the giant poison meta, and I'm really excited about how maybe people could bring P.E.K.K.A., the big P.E.K.K.A., back into the format, because if I see a giant coming at me, big P.E.K.K.A. is going to fight that giant really well and completely ignore the poison that is kind of does maybe 1/7 of its damage or something like that. So I think that would be a card that we could see a lot more of. I also would like to see more Bowler. We saw a little bit of Bowler last week in Skyrear's
who is
deck.
Also Bellator, I believe.
Bellator Gaius on Reddit. Was able to get to, I think, the top 16 with the Bowler deck, just one round short of getting into the top 8. Bowler seems like a very strong card, especially, when you have these tanky pushes and you have a Musketeer, and sometimes your tank dies, but you've cycled enough to get a second Musketeer out, and then you've got 2 sort of fighting behind whatever the new tank is. Bowler works a lot like that, where there's a lot of times Bowler on defense just fights, and then eventually you have time to summon a second Bowler, and those 2 Bowlers together just become a pretty actually overwhelming push on their own.
There was a very interesting GIF that I think highlights the strength of Bowlers in many ways very well, is that once you start getting a good number of bowlers and they're staggering their attacks, then you get this cascading pushback effect. And it was a Hog Rider that was trying to cross the bridge, and it was constantly getting pushed back and had to keep jumping, and then eventually just was defeated at the bridge before it even really got to the tower. And so if you keep playing bowler on defense and you're able to build up enough elixir and continuously stack bowlers on top of each other, it starts getting to the point where even on defense, your melee troops are not really getting much coverage in terms of...
I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A., I think one of the big advantages of that card is that how good it is against Mini P.E.K.K.A. Mini P.E.K.K.A. keeps getting knocked back, never quite gets away, never quite gets a clean shot on the opponent. So you want to start watching some matches? Some of them are starting to wrap up here.
All right, let's go ahead and watch our first match. And let's go ahead and...
Make sure the chat preview. Yeah. All right.
Do that. So we've got Simple versus Clark Kent, the first match. And Clark Kent looks like he's running... It's got a furnace, but it doesn't have a miner.
This is awesome. I actually like this already. So it's like a miner furnace deck, replacing the miner, which is the main way of dealing damage to towers, with a Hog Rider. So Hog Rider Furnace makes a lot of sense to me because we all know how good Hog Fire Spirits is. But what's going on over on Simple side? We have what looks like the giant poison decks that have been so popular recently, but like you called it, a return to Fireball over Poison.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
I like the Valkyrie in this list as well. Valkyrie is a card that we've seen be super useful against back lines like the Musketeer, the Guards are going to have a lot, even the Fire Spirits are going to have a hard time with just a Valkyrie dumped behind the Hog Rider, leaving something like Mini P.E.K.K.A. or Musketeer, Ice Wizard to deal with the Hog Rider pretty much solo.
Absolutely. So we have some interesting decks. Both of them are almost playing decks that you would expect kind of in the meta, but are not because they changed like a few cards here and there, so they're not really what you would know to be expected meta card.
That is definitely the innovation. I mean, that's what I like to watch so much about the Super Magical Cup week in and week out is the innovation you see from these top players trying to get that little 10% edge. I mean, calling the meta correctly can be maybe not a free ticket, but a golden ticket to the top 8.
Ooh,
Last week, oh wow! Look at that! See, the Valkyrie comes in just perfectly blocking and allows a great counter push. That's an 8 elixir counter push. It's hardly taking any damage.
Right, 2 parts of a 4-card combination that really makes Trifecta Hog or 4 Horseman Hog, as we were.
Yeah, we're trying to come up with a good name for it. Oh, and look at that!
Nice,
zap.
That's value.
That is a very well timed zap because that Mini P.E.K.K.A. would have absolutely gotten killed or save it. So for really 2 elixir, he got to do it.
That was a really good recognition from Simple of like, here is an opportunity to gain high value off this 2 elixir commitment.
Sure.
And he took it and made it work.
Tuning in, I'm really excited about this. Yeah, so I watched this week in and week out because last week, 3 Musketeers had never made the top 4 before. There'd be no reason to expect a 3 Musketeers deck to make the top 4. But when 2 of them make it, that tells me that these top players are really trying to find these tiny edges that you're eking out amongst the other players.
I think it's a perfect style of card to go against Giant Poison just because it's a little bit more of an elixir investment, but much more value for the elixir that you invest, right? So if you're and Giant Triple Musketeer was a combination, if you're trying to match them in the Giant plus supporting card war, your little extra investment in elixir is going to mean you're going to come out on top every single time.
Now from that early fall behind for Clark Kent, they're about tied up now. The Giant Valkyrie pushing down the river. Doesn't seem to be a lot of defense on Clark Kent's side aside from the Musketeer.
Yeah, he had Musketeer Furnace, but I think that's going to be doing a lot of damage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A full health Valkyrie might actually finish that tower off.
Yep. He has to play the Mini P.E.K.K.A.
Oh,
just barely.
Saves it.
Just barely, but it's still going to hurt. That hurts for Clark Kent because now Simple can he has the Fireball in his deck. He can just focus on the right side, and Clark Kent is put into a very uncomfortable situation. He's going to opt to do it 54 seconds in, and the response is going to be a Hog Rider Ice Spirit combination. But again, the Valkyrie Mini P.E.K.K.A. defense every single time is going to stop that.
Yeah, you see the big difference between Miner and Hog Rider here. While both can be relied on to do direct damage, having to walk down that lane of death into Valkyries, Mini P.E.K.K.A.s, or whatever, that's really been the reason that we've seen Hog Rider fall out of favor instead of Miner, whereas Miner, you can
Here's a slightly different line of play, and he's moved the Hog Rider up to the tower this time, but just chipping damage. And I think in some ways you can say that, okay, well, Clark Kent actually has gotten a pretty decent amount of damage on that left side tower, and especially because Simple is not running a defensive structure against the Hog Rider, which means that it's actually difficult to keep the Hog Rider from swinging once or twice. But Simple is okay with that because Clark Kent's defense hasn't been able to hold up his own tower.
Interesting choice by Simple. I haven't seen him drop the Giant in front of those Musketeers and Ice Wizards very often. He just hasn't quite been doing it.
Yeah, and wow, I actually really liked how Simple played there.
Welcome back to the Super Magical Cup.
Yeah, Simple did really well. We could watch a No Name, or we could wait to watch Woody and Clyde for when they face each other if they do.
Oh, we can catch both. We can probably watch them in each round.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Clyde. So now last week, Clyde actually wasn't able to participate because he had.
Oh, we got a 3 Musketeers deck of our very own.
Interesting, and this is what? I don't know, Clyde. I don't know, man.
What are you looking at? What are you thinking about?
There's no tank. There's no tank in that deck. I mean, the 5 elixir commitment, which is normally the Giant, is going to be Barbarians. And could this be the double split Musketeer split plus Barbarian split.
That I like that. So that's part of the reason why I really like Barbarians in the Three Musketeers deck, is that it allows you, when you're not really sure what to cast, you can split your barbs 2 and 2 down each lane, kind of see what your opponent does, and then when you fill back up, you split the Musketeers 2 and 1. Mm-hmm. Well, 2 barbs and a Musketeer
is pretty.
It's like a 6.5 elixir push if you want to kind of math it out, right? Like what the cards are worth. About 6.5 elixir push on one side, and a 10.5 elixir push on the other side. Like that can be very hard to deal with if you don't have a multitude of Valkyries, fireballs, and that sort of stuff in your deck.
Cards that are high value enough to match.
T-Bone is kind of falling into that because there is no fireball or poison in this deck. In fact, it's just Zap, not even Princess, for example.
Yeah.
So
the interesting thing to note about this is Clyde might actually just win this match because there's no real good answer to the Triple Musketeer, to the Three Musketeers.
A key thing here, another thing to look at is look how quickly this deck can cycle any card. I mean, whether it's Three Musketeers or Princess or Mini Pack or whatever, it has two 2-cost cards and 2 1-cost cards.
Yep.
So running both Skeletons and Ice Spirits, Zap and Fire Spirits, you have the ability to spend 9 elixir on 3 Musketeers, and then only 15 elixir later have another 3 Musketeers out on the board, right? You spend 6 on the cycle and then 9 for the second batch.
I definitely expect for Clyde's deck, double elixir to be really, really key for him, just because there's no elixir collector, so the only time you're going to get a breather or a boon in terms of your elixir collection is in that double elixir phase, so we'll see.
One of the key things we saw last week was how good 3 Musketeers were against Giants, too, so I would love to see some of these Giant pushes from T-Bone, how effective they are against the 3 Musketeers, or how good 3 Musketeers are against it, to see, if that might be the key to breaking this giant heavy meta that we've been in for the last few weeks.
The splitting begins, and of course, I think it's incredibly appropriate that people are starting to look for double lane pushes and splits for the answer, right? Because I actually think split pushing has been something that's been very undervalued in Clash Royale overall.
Yes.
People have always been kind of playing this death ball meta where they're just like, I'm going to push all my elixir down one lane.
It also becomes tough when you think about the one-upsmanship that you start to see, so when push decks become popular, the natural inclination is to over push, oh, you're a giant deck? Well, I'm a P.E.K.K.A. deck. You're a P.E.K.K.A. deck? I'm a Golem deck. You're a Golem deck? I'm a Lava Hound. You know what I mean? Just to keep one-upping each other.
Lots of damage on that right side tower. The giant made its way over, and Clyde had to use some tricky defense in terms of having to skeleton in the back to make sure the Musketeer was handled.
Fire Spirits are such a great offensive tool. You can see how right there, T-Bone's defense was totally viable defense, but just got kind of stifled by the just for 2-cost Fire Spirits, just wiped out those barbs and prevented any sort of counterattack.
This is going to be a point where Clyde can turn it around. He's going to get elixir advantage off this Musketeer by playing the Skeletons, and now T-Bone is incentivized to wait to 10 to play either Collector or a Giant combination. Clyde can wait until 10 to play a Musketeer combination.
Yeah, interesting. I think it looks like T-Bone's going to go with the Elixir Collector. I don't think Clyde's seen one yet, so doesn't exactly know that it's coming. Opts to split. I think the difference is, the thing I like about the 3 Musketeer decks is that they're not really tanky push decks. They really just split the Musketeers and then see what you do.
Yeah. Here we go.
Ooh, I don't know if I like that Giant against the double Musketeers.
So this is something interesting to note. There's actually not enough time before double elixir to play triple Musketeer and then Barbarians to follow it up, because the Musketeers will move across the bridge too quickly.
Got it. And then once you're in double elixir,
yeah.
You can always split the Musketeers up closer, too, by the river. So
if you play the Barbarian first and then split the Musketeers closer to the river, it might work out in that way. But just means that you can't really start with triple Musketeer at the back.
Clyde's done a great job of keeping damage off his tower after
that here we go.
And as you can see, the split by the river, suddenly
double barb, double Musketeer.
Right, with the Ice Spirit behind it, and of course Zap and Fire Spirits. That prevents a lot of trickery. Whoa!
Nice. The Barbarians get frozen up, and the Musketeers do a decent amount of damage to them.
T-Bone ended up zapping the double Musketeers, which I think helped. Whoa, I like the surrounding barbs there as guards.
Very good use of the Barbarians, and like you mentioned, very similar to how guards. Nice, and the other. Wow, his placement is really on point. He really knows how to.
Notice the splits are going. Both of T-Bone's towers actually have pretty low amounts of damage on it, which makes these splits really dangerous. Whoa, one more shot! Oh, it doesn't get the one more shot off. Oh, the double princesses that we're shooting.
Oh my god!
Only 76 left, and with
talk about split push. Look at the health on both of those towers.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So that what I like about 3 Musketeer decks is that they split their Musketeers and force you to react. And if you ever you can say oh, I'll let them do a little bit of damage to my one side so I can focus on the main side. But very quickly, those sides don't become the main sides anymore. 2 musketeers on either side can wipe out a tower.
Yeah.
So you can't ignore either side of it. And most of these big push decks that have, collector, maybe a big spell or a slow spell like poison and giant, don't necessarily have the quick cycling tools to fight 2 separate pushes on each lane at the same time.
Absolutely, and I think something interesting to think about is that Clyde still has a choice to push down one lane too, right? So like if you overcommit on one side, he could actually call your bluff and go all in on one lane, and then you're in trouble, especially for a deck like Simple. You don't have an AoE spell clear. If he just shoves Elixir down your lane, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
All right.
So
interesting.
What are the key cards of this matchup here? What do you
So
think?
Chicken Bob is actually running a very interesting deck that I think should probably have some success, and especially after Clark Kent seems believing of this Hog Rider Furnace style.
Okay.
And then we always talk about Lightning, how we feel like Lightning should probably be a little bit more in the meta.
Well, it's really good against the trifecta decks. It's really good against, like, if you notice, a lot of people don't play Barbs, they play Mini P.E.K.K.A. A lot of people don't play Archers, they play Musketeer. Well, at some point, if I see, like, Ice Wizard, Mini P.E.K.K.A., Musketeer as a defense, you just need to, like, do, Lightning all 3 of them, and you've got the most
done.
Value.
Yep.
Lightning's actually one of the only ways to fight an an Ice Wizard when it's on defense. Like, how do you kill an Ice Wizard? You can't fireball it. You can't whatever. Your best options are to lightning or rocket it, really.
Exactly.
Maybe zap it.
If you want to play kind of a beatdown deck and force the issue, if they keep playing Ice Wizard on defense, how are you going to clear that?
Yep.
How are you going to deal with it?
So what are the key cards of this matchup?
So I think I want to see how this Hog Rider works, especially I feel like against Woody's deck, Tombstone Mortar is very tough to sell.
Sure.
It's very tough to sell for me.
Let's put them up there.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a look here.
Red. We're gonna put Mortar up there for red, I think.
Yeah.
It's about the only.
This is
whenever Woody plays, it's about the only time in the week we get to use
the mortar, the mortar card.
We made it.
Fortunately enough, Woody has such a consistent performance that we almost always get to use the mortar card.
Wasted.
All right.
I think this will definitely be a key matchup. Is that the Hog Rider is one of those few cards that can always, no matter so what Woody wants is he sets up a mortar, the enemy plays like Mini P.E.K.K.A., and then he can drop the Tombstone in front to stall.
Yeah.
But Hog Rider gets distracted not quite the same way. So
absolutely. And I think you're right. Right now, it's going to be interesting when the meta shifts to that point where people don't have the answers to the Hog Riders anymore, because the Hog Rider decks are going to have to evolve and change a lot. Eventually, at some point, there's going to be a style of Hog Rider that's not going to be typical to your Hog Cycle or your Double Threat Hog or your Hog Freeze, right? And then how is that going to be? What's the creativity that goes behind that? How is that going to form into some kind of scary push that people don't have the answers to?
Sure.
All right, Chicken Bob hovering
I'd love
over.
to see a Hog Rider deck come along.
Oh,
there we go. See right
right.
there, Ice Wizard, Princess, Tower. That's a 6-for-6 already, and you got the tower damage. Yeah.
Yep. Tombstone against Mini P.E.K.K.A. Defensive move, however, this Tombstone is not necessarily going to convert, but Woody has the option to do the Mortar.
Yeah, it's nice that it provides just a stream of trash mobs in front of the Mortar to buy you that extra critical second for if something gets played in front of the Mortar. I also like that if he waits just another, say, 20 seconds or so, those skeletons will break, and he can use the skeletons as part of a Mini P.E.K.K.A. push or minor push.
Hog Rider as a response to the Mortar, and this is something that we mentioned last week too, is using the Hog Rider more as kind of a not really a building damaging card, but rather a way to open up your opponent's defense.
Sure.
We'll see if that pays off.
Furnace is such a hard card to deal with. Oh, wow. Especially when they have things like Ice Spirit to block for it.
Yep. Not going to get anywhere, and neither did the Tombstone. So currently,
that's
Chicken
a great
Bob
4-value Furnace for Chicken Bob.
Yep. There we go. Ooh. Oh, wow. Yeah, and Furnace going down the same lane as Tombstone. Not good for the Tombstone.
Yeah, I think the idea there was that the skeletons would take the Fire Spirits for them, but you're right.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Uh-oh.
That.
Wow. Woody really did not want it. Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, right now the lightning damage is being split across the two, and unlike a triple musketeer deck, Chicken Bob doesn't necessarily...
Wow, the minor... Oh, no!
Oh!
But you know what? Even two minions can do a significant amount of damage pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You see them chipping that thing down.
I like the positioning for Woody's Miner. He put it on the top left, which stopped the Furnace from pulling the Fire Spirits onto the minion horde.
And great predictive play, I want to say, by Woody, too, because he sort of
nice. Nice!
Wow,
there we see the lightning opening it up.
Yep.
Tried to zap to get an extra swing, but still pretty value for Chicken Bob. That was a pretty good push.
that he's doing everything he can to keep his princess alive, but that Mini P.E.K.K.A really needed to swing in order to kill the musketeer.
Yep. Ice Spirit on the miner is going to delay a little bit of damage.
Woody definitely seems to have an elixir advantage right now. He's a little ahead of his opponent. Uh-oh. Oh, the tombstone drags to the middle. We got some skeletons helping out.
He has zap for the skeletons if he chooses.
He's spreading out his things too, because I'm sure he's worried about a lightning. Although the lightning, he doesn't know that Chicken Bob doesn't have the elixir for it just yet.
Yeah,
1,
there it
2,
is.
3.
There it is, but still losing tower health.
Which actually might be the key one here. Princess is your counter to Furnace and whatnot. Wow, 5 seconds left. The miner takes the tower, and I think Woody kind of, this really shows about playing your cards, because I felt like Woody was sort of behind that whole game. The two key pushes to me were when he cast the minion horde, and sort of thought one step ahead because Chicken Bob zapped them, but it didn't matter because the miner had just popped up, and the zap was effectively wasted, forcing Chicken Bob to play the Ice Spirit, committing extra elixir to that lane, trying to stop it. A little bit on his back foot there.
And remember yesterday, or rather last week, we identified that the Ice with a zap combination is actually enough to get rid of an entire minion horde cloud. And so had Chicken Bob not gone for kind of the greedy, right? He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna zap and let the tower finish everything off." If he had led with the Ice Spirit, froze and damaged all the minions in the minion horde, and then zapped it, he would have been able to clear that situation. Except he waited for them to split up while attacking the tower, and that made it so that he couldn't actually get rid of the entire minion horde. And then I think at the last part too, the mistiming on the guards on the miner was pretty key.
Right,
it was pretty key for him. Let's go ahead and take a look at 2 new names, or rather 2 more fresh names in the Super Magical Cup. Brian RT versus Stellarim. And let's see, another Triple Musketeer Minor Knight.
This isn't exactly Darth Jar Jar's list from last week, but I do remember that Darth Jar Jar really made us stand up and look at Knight. Knight was a really impressive card in his list last week, and so I'd like to see how it goes. It looks like Knight and Minor kind of provide the 2 kind of cheap and easy tanks for the 3 Musketeers pushes. And Ice Spirit, man, all over the place this week. People are really starting to catch on to the strength of that card.
Yeah, I mean, for 1 cost, getting a freeze effect plus a little bit of AoE damage is invaluable. And I mean, anytime, similarly to Skeletons, before we continue on, Stellarim running a Giant Poison, pretty standard. We've seen this deck a lot. So let's go ahead and get that match set up while we're talking here.
Let's put it on the
Yep.
For, I think it was Giant for red.
There we go.
Musketeers for blue.
And we've got 3 Musketeers here. And, it's interesting to think about. One thing I note is that much like, for example, Angry Groceries, who made a good performance, I think, in the second Super Magical Cup, had a similar balloon deck that had this mini tank kind of idea where you have 3 cost, 4 cost. He was using Knight and Valkyrie to tank for his balloon. Brian RT, if you can kind of substitute balloon for his Triple Musketeer, is kind of substituting the giant that you would normally expect with kind of smaller tanks.
Yeah, Knight and Minor are kind of redundant cards to each other, which not in a bad way, it's a good way. Like, it means that if you ever like, oh man, I really need my Knight or I need my Minor, you have like 2 options of the same card.
And you can commit 1 to defense and 1 to offense, right? You can say Knight always goes against opponent Minor, Minor always assists on offense, right?
What will stop this Musketeer back here? There's the Minor right there, so he's got Knight going down the lane already and can use Minor on defense to stop that very mean Musketeer, which would have done a ton of damage to the tower if left alone.
Yep, so Giant Poison Musketeer is actually a pretty big commitment, and only taking health down to 1.8k on your right side tower against that kind of push is not bad.
Yeah. A good thing to notice is that level 3 guards do take 4 damage, 4 shots from a tower each. I was mistaken last week when I said they only take 3.
Interesting.
So if you've got level 3 guards, they are good enough to play in tournaments. They don't suffer any major weakness.
Right. And you're highly incentivized to do so because guards are a really great card. Okay, he has the opportunity to go 4 Musketeers on this right side. He could play Triple Musketeer right now.
I have a standing bet going that I will give $10 to anyone who can get 7 Musketeers out.
7 Musketeers. All right.
On the ladder or something like that. It's
well, there's 4.
It's got to be against a real opponent who's trying to stop you. But I love this double Musketeer in each lane
here.
Push.
He's back down to 3.
But great time. Oh, I'm sorry, he's going to go after the Elixir Collector.
Oh, wow. And we talk about value with Minor and how going for the tower is okay, but really you kind of want a different excuse to play your Musketeer.
And look, the center
or rather your Minor.
One thing I really like about Knight on defense is that for 3 Elixir, it stops with the tower shooting it, right?
Yeah.
Mini P.E.K.K.A, Musketeer, Valkyrie, a lot of 4-cost cards. So if you use it smartly on defense, there's a lot of opportunities for Knight to earn you an elixir positive trade.
I really want to see Brian RT amping up his aggression now that he's in double elixir. He's played his elixir collector at the minute. I actually would like him to start pushing for a more all-in situation. Don't play your collector unless there's a very, very neutral situation where you're unsure of what the outcome is. Try to play aggressive now. You're in double elixir. You have the triple musketeer combination.
I'm surprised Brian didn't split the 2 musketeers towards the
right.
Right.
So he already has 1 musketeer there. Maybe he's trying to think.
He's constantly trying to get the 4 musketeer line.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nice. Ice Spear we were talking about. Really, really, really high value. And that's going to save his tower from potentially a fatal push.
Yeah, Stellar Rim takes a slight advantage here, but we're about to go into overtime. Every point of damage becomes critical because the first tower to go down ends it. There is no second chances.
Yep. All right, Miner actually on the right side gets a lot of damage, but the question is, can Brian RT DPS down this Giant in time? The Ice Spirit freezes, and that's going to buy him a few precious seconds.
That Giant only needs to swing one more time.
The zap! The zap. Ooh, and maybe really paying the price for splitting the 2 musketeers the other way.
Yeah, I was sort of questioning that play because it showed Stellar Rim was able to stifle that with guards or a single mini P.E.K.K.A. multiple times, so it's a little questionable play there, but that shows how strong... I mean, Giant is really the gravitational center of the meta right now because for its cost, 5 elixir, it is really hard to do 3,500 damage before it attacks your tower, even if you put defensive cards like Musketeer there. A Musketeer and the tower does not stop a full health Giant from coming up and punching your tower for a bunch of damage.
Yep.
So you can see how if you ever get caught off guard or disrupted or have a poison on you or anything like that, the Giant can just run away with the game by
just punching the tower
down.
Does a lot of damage.
It does. I mean, every punch of a Giant is a fireball amount of damage, which is pretty significant.
Yeah,
right?
Crazy to think about when you word it that way. All right, we've got Giant Witch. Ooh, Witch is a card that we actually haven't seen in a while. Now, Witch is one of those cards that got a lot of help in the recent patch changes, but despite that, I feel like we still haven't really seen Witch be a big kind of difference maker in the meta right now.
Yeah, Witch is a card, it's so interesting because it's a jack of all trades, but it's not great at anything. It costs 5, which is kind of expensive, right? It does a little bit of AoE damage, but not a ton. It doesn't have a really long range, but it's got an okay range. It makes skeletons, but not an overwhelming amount of them, right? So you have to find the exact right deck where you want all of those traits. And I think that Giant or P.E.K.K.A. are the most natural pairings with it because, 10 elixir, 12 elixir, and a push is like pretty standard. We're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Which can provide the skeletons that block from mini P.E.K.K.A. attacks or musketeer attacks on your tank, while also covering from minions. The downside here is I don't see anything in Rob Stark's deck that really gets goofed up by the Witch.
Especially with the existence of the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
You almost always would, I see a Witch, I'm going to play a Valkyrie on top of that Witch.
Right.
The interesting thing to think about too, just a little side note to add on for the Witch, because they nerfed the skeletons to drop 3, the Witch essentially just gives you skeletons.
Right.
It just casts skeletons for you every once in a while. And
which is really cool because that means in a way it almost costs 4 because immediately you get 1 elixir skeletons coming out of her. Yep. So there's been a lot of times where if you have a little bit of extra elixir and you just want to play there's a Hog Rider coming in, I just want to play skeletons or something. Playing a Witch, it's overpaying, but you get this full support troop on the field still that you can just put a little tank in front of and have a pretty serious push.
Okay, Rob Stark's trifecta plus mini P.E.K.K.A., the kind of 4 horsemen style of this deck is, I think, going to do really, really well against the Witch, but I feel like there are opportunities if he can kind of desync the Valkyrie play with the Witch for Robin to make some big things happen.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is you can put your mini P.E.K.K.A. in front of your Witch so that they try to play a Valkyrie behind on top of the Witch. The mini P.E.K.K.A. turns around and kills the Witch for you.
Yeah. Let's see. Nice. Valkyrie in front, keeping the Witch alive. And as long as the Witch is alive, it'll keep spawning skeletons. But unfortunately, this push is looking pretty tough. Mini P.E.K.K.A. to defend.
Lock on.
Man, and one of the most dangerous things about handling these hog pushes is just troops with slivers of health. Mini P.E.K.K.A. that is just barely alive. Musketeer that is barely alive. That's why these cards are great.
That Musketeer was a champion. That Musketeer shot the mini P.E.K.K.A. to death, and then like the 2 spear goblins that were already attacking just went 1, 2, and then walked forward and still shot the tower for 1. That's a lot of value out of that 4 elixir musketeer.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the reasons why these 4-cost cards are so great, right? A mini P.E.K.K.A., a musketeer, even a Valkyrie, especially with a hog in front of it. If those cards are even at a sliver of health, it makes defending the push so much more complicated. All right, we have a big push coming across. Valkyrie is actually committed behind the tower, and this might get really dangerous. Probably a defensive poison, but there's no elixir on the table. Zap is going to clear away a lot of the skeletons, and there we have it, being committed. And much less damage to the tower than I thought it would be. It looked incredibly scary.
Question does, with this elixir disadvantage, does Rob commit either poison or hog to the table? Appears not. Looks like he's just going to pump up. Poisoning Robin's elixir collector in the middle a few seconds ago was very valuable, right? Because now Rob has 2 pumps out, Robin has 0, and if Robin tries to get another pump out, you know, you have the elixir advantage just to poison it and keep pushing.
Okay, so Robin is going to go for, he's calling the bluff. He's pushing all in on the left side while the Hog Rider comes on the right. Just trying to rely on the mini P.E.K.K.A. Committed Spear Goblins too, and the zap from Rob Stark is going to mean that, oh wow, it didn't actually get rid of the mini P.E.K.K.A., but the mini P.E.K.K.A. is unable to counter push. That was a big gambit, and I almost think that helped Robin kind of catch up. Hog Rider on the right side.
That Ice Spirit is so brutal because you can't play anything to counter it, right? You just have to sort of take it on the chin.
So again, Rob Stark, and I almost think playing that mini P.E.K.K.A. might have been a mistake. It's going to move across, get zapped, and not get a single swing. I almost think if Robin identified that he was going to lose that right side tower and he's going to put a giant on the left, he should have just understood, wow.
Go for it. Yeah.
You know, Hog Rider Ice Spirit is not actually going to be very defendable, especially without a defensive structure.
Because he delayed and ended up playing the mini P.E.K.K.A. as if stopping the musketeer has any sort of long-term strategic value.
Yeah.
That musketeer or that mini P.E.K.K.A. on the left lane could have potentially. I mean, it only needed what, 1 swing maybe to turn that tower from near dead to dead. And,
yeah, and we see right here as the feature card, 572 onto the tower, definitely would have cleaned it up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's, yeah, I agree with your assessment there.
All right, let's take a look here. Some of these matches, I'm not sure. What's happening here?
We've got Stiller, you and level 99. We haven't watched these people yet, either of them.
Yep, let's take a look at that. Ooh. Okay. It's hard to associate the mortar with a name that is not Woody these days, but
I would say this is probably inspired by, but that's great.
It's interesting. It's very similar. No princess, but there's the rocket. He's a rocket man.
Yeah, rocket is something that Woody plays in his expo list, but not in the mortar list normally. What I assume Rocket here, what Rocket's going to do in here is be sort of a replacement for the Elixir Collector in that if the opponent ever tries to play an Elixir Collector, it gets rocketed. Just no questions asked, rocket the thing. Don't let these big push decks ever build up into their big, strong pushes.
Giant Prince is something that we've been, well, at least I've been noticing happening in the qualifiers a little more often. I'm not sold. I'm not sold on Giant Prince.
We don't have a lot of opportunity to put Prince up there. He's a rarely played card. I actually like it as a redundant mini P.E.K.K.A. So if you look at a lot of these big tanky pushes, it's rarely the giant that does a lion's share of the damage. It's the mini P.E.K.K.A. behind it or the musketeer behind it that gets a clear shot to just shoot a bunch of times. So what I see here is I expect level 99 to use mini P.E.K.K.A.s and princes as answers to musketeers, witches, wizards, those sort of things on defense, and then they attack back. And then, of course, a giant backed up with a prince is a pretty sturdy push. I mean, it's kind of giant bowler in that regard. Like, what easy spell do you play to get rid of a prince behind?
Looking at this deck for level 99 actually makes me think about... I do feel like, just because of the pop-up nature of the card, that the miner would almost be the perfect combination. Defend with things like the prince, defend with things like the mini P.E.K.K.A., and then pop up with a miner as they're pushing across for a cheap tank that gives you that opportunity to push across and get one hit with the mini P.E.K.K.A., just one charge hit with the prince.
I feel like that's what we saw originally with a lot of the original miner decks and miner furnace decks. Was the original trick was they capitalized on the fact that everyone wanted to everyone wanted to zap minion horde and just get away with it.
Yeah.
Here we go, miner. It has locked onto the tower. The giant was a little on the slow side.
Zap
comes out a little late though, or a little early rather, because here comes the minion horde.
Yep. Oh no. Oh no, and he didn't play poison. I think poison was your ideal card there. Sure, you're gonna take another mortar hit, but you really don't want to.
Ooh. Now with there's the poison. A little on the late side though, because these
he's still gonna take a good amount of damage.
A few attacks to go down. I think Yu's probably really happy with that exchange, despite the angry face.
Yeah. It's definitely a kind of a rocky opening for level 99.
Yu has a 2 elixir advantage right now.
I think
actually about 2.5 elixir advantage, which if he can keep Yu off of, or level 99, I'm sorry, off of the elixir collector plan, could be in really good shape.
Yeah, I actually think this is one of the big reasons why Prince. Nice, it moves fast enough to avoid the mortar hit.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yep.
Oh, but now it locks on to the
tombstone.
Giant.
Oh yeah, the mortar onto the giant. So that's, I think, one of the big things that hurts level 99 is opening with a prince. I think it's one of the, probably the worst opening cards. Very counterable with cheap cards. It also gives your opponent a lot of time to think about, okay.
Wow, look at these minion hordes again. Wow! That might be the tower right there. It looks like it's going down fast enough. It is. So you take it. It's funny because we've talked a lot about how the mortar, while it does a little bit of chip damage, is usually not the thing that kills a tower. It's sort of the look over here, look over here, look over here distraction.
Spend some elixir on me. Yeah.
And there's a lot of just really easy minor-based pushes that can take it down. Or, of course, you can always grind people down with rockets.
Man, and look at that. You took down the tower, but is in heavy elixir advantage despite that. And that is a big sign of, like, you really got outplayed.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it actually revolves around that prince, because for 5 elixir, when was the last time you saw one of these 5 elixir princes getting 5 elixir worth of value?
Yeah.
Like actually killing 5 elixir worth of stuff.
Yep, definitely not. I mean, the fact that Tombstone exists plus the minion horde, as we see featured here, it just puts a stop to the prince. And I mean, I think it works in some situations, but I'm not convinced that it is smart to run in the current meta, right?
I think the double prince deck has a lot of value to it. I've seen like the double prince ones, or they run P.E.K.K.A. as well. I think there's a lot of value to those kind of decks, but I agree it's an archetype that is probably tier 2 and needs some innovation or new cards or balance updates to really bring it back into full meta. And hey, you know, the strong thing about mortar decks is once they have gotten their tower, it is really hard to break their defensive shell. That mortar in the center gained a lot of value, distracted a lot, and Yu takes the game with over 2,000 health on both towers.
Yeah, very, very solid defense.
Pretty commanding win.
Very good answer to the prince. And much like I was talking about, there are cards that are going to be much better in terms of having it in your opening hand.
Right.
And I think prince is not one of them. It's just not a good card to open with.
So let's check out. We have a pretty surprising game here. We've got Clyde. Here's check out that one right, the Clyde game. Clyde versus Chicken Bob is an interesting game because that means that Chicken Bob eliminated Woody. We have a round 1 upset.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Had to happen.
I think
the only way these two could be playing. So let's watch that game and see how it goes. He left the clan a little earlier. I saw it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because you always have to be suspicious every time.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. I'm not actually. I did see Woody get bumped. I imagine that's the real game. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a real thing. Clark Kent's new deck. Or no, sorry, Clyde.
Well, Clyde did run Lava Hound Miner deck, but this looks like a much more streamlined version. Fireballs in there, Princess Skeletons. I mean, these are all really inexpensive cards. It looks like the deck is much more focused on that key interaction of Lava Hound and Miner, and less worried about all the supporting cards around it.
And Chicken Bob actually does continue to run this Hog Furnace, so he had to have Juan with it at some point.
Yes.
Right. So
I think what happened was Chicken Bob won 2 games against Woody's second deck, which I believe was the Expo deck, unless he changed it up.
It would be interesting to see.
Well, it's funny because Expo deck lost Woody 2 games in the finals last week, and
Clyde.
If it loses 2 rounds in the first game this week, I wonder if Expo maybe Woody retires it for something else.
So I think the big difficulty for Expo.
Oh, let's put the cards up. Let's see.
Let's go ahead.
Lava Hound for Clyde for a red sign.
Yep. Let's do that Lava Hound. And let's go ahead and throw up. Man, I wish we had like something like lightning or furnace. Furnace would be good. Let's put the Hog Rider up there. All right.
No, furnace should be up there. Start making spawner cards.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look. What's gonna transpire between Clyde versus Chicken Bob? Chicken Bob slayed Woody. So one of the things that I was gonna mention about the crossbow is that, especially against giants, like logically it shouldn't do very well. And I think Grubby demonstrated why. And I think as people get more used to kind of either watching Grubby's matches or just experiencing Woody playing the crossbow a little more, they kind of recognize how they have to play a little more patiently against the crossbow and what smart choices, trades against that card is.
This is a really interesting aggressive start. You don't think of Lava Hound decks as aggressive decks, but Clyde basically opened up with the 10 elixir push right off the bat. Just Princess into Lava Hound, deal with it. And it's sort of forcing Chicken Bob to get his cycle together in real time, right?
I don't actually know if there are cards enough in this deck to handle this push. I mean, what are you going to play in this situation?
Wow, it's like almost like already Clyde went from having a big elixir disadvantage to a huge elixir advantage with a bunch of stuff on the board.
Yeah, this is just absolutely, I mean,
this is like high tempo Lava Hound right here. That just came right down and forced Chicken Bob to sort of stumble around.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts a lot. That hurts a lot. Guards in front of the Princess. 260, 282 health off the first opening push.
Right, for sure.
And the big thing is, I mean, look at the cards Chicken Bob has. Musketeer, like Ice Spirit, like what is the comfortable answer to Barbarians, right? Like you have to kind of play a lot of cards. Just
I guess Furnace maybe, or like Zap Mini P.E.K.K.A, but I agree that there's, without Princess, Wizard, Witch, those sort of splash damage cards, it's very possible for Barbarians to get the better one.
Yeah, which really, I mean, that's one of the reasons why Barbarians are played so much, is because there's just such a solid card, and that's why players play a lot of counters, a lot of splash to deal with them.
Wow, and again, Clyde was able to pull out another tower takedown with basically taking advantage of the zap, right? The minions on defense were used on the right lane. They got zapped. Playing just the playing just the miner along with it was enough.
Yeah.
Push it through.
Yeah. Well, I think Chicken Bob has just about tapped out, and I don't really blame him.
I mean, it's pretty easy to go on tilt after an opening exchange like that. I really like the style, though, because we never really see or think of those sort of decks as being so forward and aggressive like that. So I really like the style.
I mean, it really pushed the issue of Chicken Bob's deck. Like, you can't really handle Barbarians comfortably. What do you do against the Lava Hound if your Musketeer is tagged onto the Barbarians? And then how do you deal with the fact that the Miner is going to pop up right when the pups exist? And then you have 3-cost minions that can also help with the Miner. Yeah. It's just like, there's just so much on top of a ton of stuff. And this is one of the things about...
You don't always have your cards, too. Like, if you play a deck that has a lot of 5-cost cards in it, and the card you need is the 8th card in the deck, there's no way to get there, right? There's just...
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't do it. And that's, I think, one of the big downfalls of running a card like Lightning, right? Because what are you going to Lightning minions or take down 3 of the 4 Barbarians? Like, it's kind of a gross choice. And, like, Lightning on Lava Hound is definitely not what you want to do.
No, not at all. You definitely want to Lightning the pups.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. So Clyde versus Chicken Bob was a round 2 game. We got one right here, actually. I believe this is game 3 of their series. Oh, wow, it's a pretty crazy looking mirror match there, too.
Yeah.
Is that 2? Not exactly a mirror match, but very heavily overlap. Let's take a look at this one.
Let's take a look.
Rob Stark versus Clark Kent in round 2.
Yeah. And this is going to be interesting. Again, Clark Kent running this Hog Rider Furnace, which we've actually, 2 different people running Hog Rider Furnace is kind of interesting to me.
The only difference in these 2 lists are Guards and Furnace on Clark Kent's side, and Rob Stark has Collector and Valkyrie. Otherwise, card for card, the same. What's interesting is Rob Stark is running the trifecta variant, but we've seen, I think, the Skeletons and Cannon version has almost been replaced now by this Ice Spirit Mini P.E.K.K.A version. Ice Spirit and Mini P.E.K.K.A go along together very, very well. You freeze them for 2 seconds and let the Mini P.E.K.K.A just chop away. On Clark Kent's side, seems like it's trying to play a very similar gameplay style, but using guards. I would actually love to see a version that ran Valkyrie and with Furnace there instead of the Elixir. Instead of the Elixir Collector, you just had the Furnace. Furnace is the best spawner in the game by far right now in the meta.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a spawner that kind of, I think, overwhelms the idea of a spawner deck where it's just kind of so. A goblin hut, right, gives you 1 spear goblin at a time, and its kind of role is very different than actual spear goblins as a card. But fire spirits, the furnace, I think the ways that you use the fire spirits are pretty similar to how you would play the actual card, right? they just do so much damage that it kind of doesn't really matter that there's 2 of them as opposed to 3.
Right. The big difference is that the Spirit Goblins can build up and kind of become this overwhelming snowball effect, whereas the Fire Spirits just kind of constantly blow up. If they make it to the tower, they blow up. If they hit units, they blow up.
So your expected value is the same playing the Fire Spirit card and the Furnace card, as opposed to Spear Goblins where you're actually trading one benefit to the other.
There's a great micro there by Rob Stark, who was able to use an Ice Spirit and a Zap to not only kill the enemy Musketeer, but also kill the Furnace, enemy Ice Spirit, and have the Musketeer shoot on the tower. A single Zap enabled kind of a snowball of that one Musketeer.
You know, something interesting to note is Hog Riders so many times in games that we're watching today have just been stopped with, I wouldn't really call it lazy defense, but definitely skimpy defense with just the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Is there a card there that can capitalize on it? Play that mind game where, okay, I'm going to make you believe you can just play the Mini P.E.K.K.A. to get away with this.
You can Zap in order to guarantee that the guy will get to the tower, but do you want to spend 6 elixir to their 4 to do like 1 hog swing or 1 or 2 hog swing? Maybe you do, but then not having Zap leaves you wide open in a lot of cases. It's not that it's a bad use of Zap, but it's somewhat a strategically wasteful use of Zap, because if the other player has something like Minion Horde, and you're zapping every time you attack with your hog, they can set up this really good counter push.
There are probably higher priorities for your Zap card, unless you're going to do the killing blow on the tower, right? So, I mean, it's interesting to think about, like, does this mean that there's some kind of spell? Is there some kind of combination of cards that you can play? You know, what is it that's going to make people be more honest about the Mini P.E.K.K.A. to Hog Rider defense?
Maybe you could run a miner. This is kind of a silly idea, but you could run a miner and pop it up in the middle as they're casting their Mini P.E.K.K.A. to draw the Mini P.E.K.K.A. like away, like towards the center, and let the Hog Rider get in there. So even if the miner dies, the Mini P.E.K.K.A. then has to walk back to your Hog Rider.
I wonder if there's even some way to play the miner to displace a Mini P.E.K.K.A. placement so that it retargets onto the miner.
Yeah. I bet you if you played it, like if the Mini P.E.K.K.A. was played close enough to the center and you played your miner a little bit on the other side, you might actually be able to drag the Mini P.E.K.K.A. to the other lane too.
Oh, interesting. So, some things to think about. Maybe Hog Rider Miner is the way to do it. But it's just something interesting to note that so many people just play the Mini P.E.K.K.A. for defense against Hog. Rob Stark doing good work on Clark Kent's right side tower, down to 770. And Clark Kent so far has, again, been doing good damage to the left side tower, but it just feels like his pushes have been generally ineffective.
Yeah, the Hog Rider has not quite impressed me the way that Miner has over the last few weeks. It just seems like maybe it's vestiges of a different meta where people were just playing a lot more.
Oh, there we go. He actually does spend that Zap to try to get the second swing, and it's getting really close. Yeah,
we're
Poison
deep in overtime now, so the next tower wins it. I feel like this push right here might be able to do it. Oh god, no, especially if that thing doesn't come out and doesn't wake up.
Ah!
There's only one more poison left, so pretty much Clark Kent has to kill it right now in this one, and that Elixir Collector is a hard defense, basically. You don't have to deal with it.
There it is. Very, very close match.
And Clark Kent is eliminated in round 2. So Woody's out in round 1 and Clark Kent's round 2. This is an insurgent week. It's a week for upstarts.
Yeah. Interesting, because I think Clark Kent's biggest, kind of the fatal error there was allowing the Mini P.E.K.K.A. to swing on his Furnace.
Okay.
I think that was the fatal error. If the Furnace sustained, would have been able to defeat the Hog Rider just that split second faster, prevent that swing, which is a fireball's worth of damage, and then the Furnace would have shot 2 more Fire Spirits at the left side tower, plus the poison would have caused Rob Stark to have to play more Elixir on the left side. He doesn't want to do that because the right side tower is what he really wants to focus for.
Let's hop over into Group B and see how that's going.
Let's take a look.
Got some big players in there too.
Let's search for...
I'm excited to see if Justin for the win, Brainy Dude, Zadian, Trainer Chris, Flash got real far.
Yeah. So is Flash in Group B?
He was. Was. Maybe still on us. Uh-oh. Might have had some upsets and some others not so upsets.
Interesting. So I always find that super interesting just because in Season 2, I feel like the meta and the strong players and the players that you recognize to be really great and new names rising up have really been kind of stirring up the scene.
Really, that's good though, because that tells me that the Super Magical Cup is getting more and more reach. We've always said that this is the most competitive tournament, and we've had the best players here. And as you get sort of a critical mass of good players, all the other good players show up, right? They say, I want to fight that person. I want to prove that I'm better than them. Like, they're not the best, I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing week after week, is the tournament just gets more and more and more competitive as they add more people.
Yep.
Let's see what's going on in chat while we're trying to get into Group B here.
Let's take a look.
Got some people complaining about it getting the log. Only got the log. You know what? If you get any legendary, I wouldn't be too upset about it, because if a legendary is underpowered right now, like I think Lumberjack is pretty universally regarded as not quite strong enough, I would expect to see it in the next balance update get some improvements. Yeah. They don't want any card to be unplayable. Yeah. Lightning also kills a mini P.E.K.K.A. Good feedback, Squawkbot. Thank you for that.
He noticed you.
Let's see. Royal Giant, so annoying. Not in this one. Isn't that pretty crazy? Like, we haven't seen a Royal Giant in forever.
Yep, it's definitely kind of...
When was the last time a Royal Giant even made the top 8? Was that even like... I want to say it was maybe the Season 1 championship,
I don't even remember what the card looks
1.
like. I don't even remember what the card looks like. I mean, does he have a beard?
He does. He smiles. One of the few smilers. Got people arguing in chat whether or not Lava Hound is good. Lava Hound's clearly a good legendary, because really, I mean, great. What else can you say? We got Clyde winning tournaments with it week in and week out.
Yeah, Lava Hound is really great. I think it's one of those cards that needs a little more precise execution. It's not quite as comfortable as a Giant, but it's definitely a very strong card. Finally made top 16. There we go, Patriots. So Patriots, when I was streaming one of the qualifiers, Patriots came to hang out, and he was talking about how he was like, I really want to do well in one of the SMCs. Like, you know, he was kind of chatting a little bit. And I was telling him, you know, we've been waiting. You know, Rumhead and I have both always seen your name, and we've been waiting for you to make a breakout performance. So
okay. Oh, we got some high quality matches right in here. So let's take a look. This seems like a very reasonable game to watch.
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh, all right. Oh, buddy, let's take a look.
All right, let's look at this match. Oh yeah, something I wanted to mention too about Darth Jar Jar is his Twitter, I believe, is just Darth Jar Jar. I believe. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know. If anybody in chat knows.
Yeah, hit me.
He does have a Twitter, but he titles himself a Three Musketeer enthusiast.
Really?
Yeah.
He's been ever since. Maybe he was playing even back when they cost 10.
Yeah.
They used to cost 10 elixir. If you didn't know that, they used to cost 10 elixir. And if you want to find out more things you don't know, we have an exclusive YouTube series called Clash Royale Meta Timeline. If you go check out our YouTube channel, we are doing a video on each balance update that has come through since the game launched. And we've done 3 so far. We're going to record another one after today's SMC. So go check it out, because that is true. Three Musketeers, when it came out, cost 10 elixir initially. Now, got the best buff of all time, reduce the elixir cost. All right, news on... That's Justin's side, and on Zadian, let's put up the Giant, actually. So we made a little Inferno Tower card, because we felt that Inferno Tower, a little different from a lot of the other cards that we see, a lot defensive towers we see used. Inferno Tower, I think Pompeo does this a lot. We're seeing Justin do this a lot now, too. They're not running Elixir Collector or Spawners. They're running 7, spells and troops used to attack, and they really rely on one Inferno Tower, one unbreakable, hard-to-kill Inferno Tower as the core defense. With a 40-second lifespan, with the ability to heat up to, over 1,000 damage a second when it gets fully warmed up. Very few things can crack an Inferno Tower, and a lot of decks aren't really ready for it.
Yeah.
So I think what to look for here is, can Justin use not just the Inferno Tower, but then also the Fire Spirit, Zap, Goblins, etc., to keep it alive long enough to repel all the pushes, and then try to win with, I guess, a combination of Miner and Goblin Barrels.
Yeah.
What's going on with Zadian's deck?
So Zadian is going to be running Giant Miner, which is kind of something we started to see a lot in the second or in the last week of the Super Magical Cup. Maybe as a response to Lava Hound Miner, but kind of operating in a similar fashion, but not really having the synergy with the Lava Pups. The big idea here with Giant Miner is that you really want to make sure that you always have a tank kind of in front of have units like the Musketeer, units like the Mini P.E.K.K.A. So you might open with kind of like a giant Musketeer thing, use the Mini P.E.K.K.A. to assist, and then throw in your miner after the giant is about dead. And you can rely on your pushes lasting that long just because the giant is so tanky, right?
Quickly.
All right, so let's see how this game shakes out. I'm really interested in Justin's deck. I believe it's this match. Yeah. I'm really interested in Justin's deck. I want to see what it looks like when it's run successfully.
And especially because this is the first time we've seen Justin start to go deep into a tournament without Hog Rider. I remember Justin's deck used to always be like Ice Wizard, Cannon, Hog Rider, Zap, Mini P.E.K.K.A., that kind of thing. He was a Hog Cycle player for sure.
Yeah.
And for the first time, as far as I've seen, is starting to run more of a minor variant.
Interesting. Cheap cards just to get chipping damage.
Good chip damage too. It allows him to get to the important card, the Elixir Collector.
Yeah.
Whoa! Now I like here.
Nice.
Is he gonna?
Look at
that. Opts to not zap them. It looks like. The question is that enough?
No, there's
the Elixir. So the Inferno Tower gets zapped. A big change from the most recent balance update is that Inferno Tower now, when it gets zapped, resets back to its lowest damage level. That wasn't always true in the game's history.
That's crazy. The timing that Justin played the goblins.
He saw the zap. The zap came out on the Inferno Tower.
Yeah, so he played them into the poison. This is a big thing.
Oh,
and they didn't die. The timing in which you played them.
He timed them late enough.
Yeah.
Oh! So fire spirits need to be maybe one square a little farther more to the left.
I think I lost a year of my life watching that. It's just in that moment, I
like the Goblin Barrel as a sort of a counter hook in boxing terms.
That
if you're gonna zap my Inferno, I got my Inferno Tower, my shell defense up, and if you zap it open so that you can punch through a little bit of damage, I'm going to immediately hit you with the Goblin Barrel on your
back
tower.
Some of the.
Because I know you ain't got zapped.
Yeah, gain back some of that cost. Okay. Oh, that sucks. Good zap on the goblins.
Good defense for him. So he spent, but again, zap comes out on the goblins. What's next?
Yep.
The Mini P.E.K.K.A., while it will kill these things, actually that was pretty quick.
Yeah, just because the extra shot that it required, it didn't need to take that extra shot, so it retargeted. But still, I mean...
What's happened this time? It does. Okay, so that time Justin gets a little bit better placement and ends up killing the Mini P.E.K.K.A.
So the way you have to think about it is, even though the Goblin Barrel was stopped, it did get a bit of chipping damage on. Nice defense by Justin, by the way. Oh, and again, the zap was actually spent. Even though the Goblin Barrel did get taken down, the Mini P.E.K.K.A. walked across the bridge and Justin didn't even need to spend Elixir to defend it. Right. It's kind of like, well, I'll be happy to take that.
Of course.
You know, just a little bit of chipping damage on the tower.
Here we go. The guards do not come in front. You can see the poison come down. He's waiting on that. Oh, there's the fire spirits.
No!
Oh, the guards. And right there we see the zap come down on the Elixir Collector. Opts not to throw the Goblin Barrel right away. He wants to stick with defending the tower. Oh, no.
Oh, this is getting to be really disorganized for Justin, I think.
He's really going for these big pushes here. It's actually pretty close to winning in terms of damage.
No.
But with 600 damage on each tower, anyone could fumble this one away.
Yeah, the timing was just a little bit awkward for Justin. I feel like if the miner had popped up a little earlier and defended the Mini P.E.K.K.A. rather than having the tower tag onto the Mini P.E.K.K.A., this would be a very different game.
Oh, by separating the Mini P.E.K.K.A. with the goblins. Oh, this isn't looking too good. The miner is getting close though, but it's still outside of poison range. One more miner swing and that would have been a poison killable tower.
This is kind of Justin's last play.
Oh! Wow, the princess gonna kill the guards? Dies. But now neither side actually have the things to kill.
Oh, play the pot.
Oh no, I think poison takes it down.
Yep, and the zap. Yep.
Wow, Zadian takes game 1 from Justin. I believe that was game 1 of their series. They just started playing. I believe it's round 2, 3, what have you.
This is a perfect situation to again pose a question. Ice Spirit as a defense against miner? I mean, if you're using goblins already, if you have Ice Spirit, that at least guarantees that miner is not going to swing like 3-4 times unless he really commits zap.
If you have your collectors or your furnace in the middle, and they are sending their miner into the middle where both towers are attacking it, it makes a lot of sense to do the Ice Spirit there because you get twice as much damage done during the frozen time.
It's just how much elixir are you willing to guarantee that you don't take any damage? Because
try this one, ESL Yo. I think actually these might be the last few matches that lead to the top 8.
Yeah, I believe so. ESL Yo versus Debro. Interesting deck coming out of ESL Yo. Miner, Princess, Mini P.E.K.K.A. with the lightning, and his defense is going to be Inferno Tower. So there's a lot of cards here that don't really. I mean, they kind of like you're kind of like, oh, I kind of recognize that, but not really. You know.
I like the lightning. You know, we didn't call that in the pre-show as the breakout card, but maybe we should have because we saw Trainer Nick get into the top 4 2 weeks ago with a lightning deck, and here we are seeing a lot of people carrying that electrified torch all the way in.
Meanwhile, DeBro is just running your typical kind of minor poison, furnace, chippy damage. I'm gonna.
Minor Furnace is a great archetype. So let's get Minor up there. We haven't actually put Minor up there yet.
This guy with his dumb smile. Look at him. Should we leave the Inferno Tower? It does exist in this deck. Let's do the Princess. These 2 legendaries are ones that you will have burned into your mind's eye. Good.
I'm mining right now.
Good. Nice.
Good face. I really like the Minor Furnace as an archetype. But I do want to see how ESLYO does with that lightning, because if you hit a mini P.E.K.K.A. and a furnace and a tower, they are out of luck. They're in bad shape.
Absolutely. I mean, lightning has a lot of opportunities, especially with kind of the current meta. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah.
And then I believe we start the top 8 pretty shortly after that.
Yeah.
We're in the top 16 now. Will Patriots make it?
Patriots 34. Why did he choose 3 and 4?
Because that is Corey Dillon's number on the 2004 Super Bowl winning Patriots team.
Thank you, Rumham.
Is that right? Is it the 04 Patriots? I'm sure there's some other Patriots 34 players, but I always remember Corey Dillon on that team because I hated that team.
We'll have to see. Maybe a player interview for the future. The curiosity.
He's got to win. You win, and we'll do the player interview. Yeah. So I like the guards there, not only blocking the incoming thing, but also was able to let the princess kill the enemy princess.
And the double tower shots. Yeah, just let that miner swing. It's okay. More than.
And here they are, about even up. Looks like ESLYO has a slight 1 elixir advantage, but...
So what does ESLYO play? Like, does he just play the miner? Like, that kind of sucks.
Well, yeah, it kind of sucks with the guards there, both killing the miner and probably end up killing the mini P.E.K.K.A. on the way back around the tower.
Yeah. I feel like that was a very uncomfortable hand for ESLYO to land at.
But at the same time, it's 7-7. They both spent a similar amount of elixir, and with that, no one really even took any damage out of it. These princesses will trade. So really, I think DeBro came out maybe on the better end of that because he's only down by 2 elixir now, but he's got a furnace on the table.
Yep.
So he went from being 1 elixir down to 2 elixir down. We got a furnace out of the trade. Pretty good for him overall.
Anytime within the near future, though, the lightning is still going to buy that back, right?
Lightning's another card that's great against these Inferno Towers. Talk about hard ways to crack Infernos. If you are willing to build up your push behind your King Tower and save that elixir back up, when they cross the river and they're like, haha, Inferno Tower, going a really quick, lightning to the Inferno Tower and the main tower can really set them back.
Especially if you think about it in terms of like, imagine if you had kind of giant minion as your push plus the lightning. If the Inferno Tower is the only defensive structure they have, it very well could mean that giant gets its way to the tower.
Second later would have gotten that other one.
Yeah. Is there a zap? No? You see, I feel like Woody actually would have committed a zap. Oh, wow.
Great defense, though, by playing those minions quick enough.
And he spent the zap anyways.
Yeah.
Just zap it. He spent the zap anyways.
And this is a bad one for ESLYO because he's got to keep this Inferno Tower out kind of before you really want to.
What are you Infernoing anyways?
Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe there's really not much in DeBro's deck that's worth Infernoing, so I kind of get there's no Giant, there's no Lava Hound.
Which,
still,
arguably,
I mean... commit 5 elixir to the board, that doesn't do anything.
I don't blame ESLYO for having this card in his deck just because Giants are so popular in the current meta, but especially against DeBro's current deck, it might just be one of those cards where like, I don't actually ever want to play this because I will lose every single time I do.
Yeah, maybe there's openings to play it, but DeBro's not building up these huge pushes that you would expect.
Yeah.
That would be like, oh, well, I got to have my big tower down.
Yeah, okay, he's going to let that miner do some swinging damage, making sure he's taking care of the supporting units first, which I think is a smarter idea.
Lightning? Is lightning gonna hit right now? Doom, doom, doom.
Do it. 4 + 3 is 7.
It does.
Nice.
And it saves the zap.
Yep.
Saves the zap on the. You have to zap the princess to keep yours alive.
Oh wow, the mini P.E.K.K.A. was actually played. So he actually he played poison on top of that to make sure that the princess was taken down.
Sure. These guards are coming in pretty hot though. With the slowed down attack speed of the tower, they actually are gonna get pretty close.
Nice. Are they gonna do enough damage to the mini P.E.K.K.A.?
I think so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Even with
Princess has a very slow fire speed. She takes about 3 seconds to charge up.
Yeah. Which is one of the big reasons why I think goblins and spear goblins are so hard to hit. Nice. Okay.
So that's 3 lightnings on that tower. We can laugh about it, but at,
Yeah, it's happening. It's real.
Yeah, at about 400 damage per shot, that adds up.
I actually don't really like this choice from ESLYO, just because I think like your minor defense is going to be what's going to guarantee your spot ahead in the game.
Yeah.
In this fact, so save your mini P.E.K.K.A. Make sure you're always trading minor with mini P.E.K.K.A. and then just continue using lightning on the tower. Debro has to come to you. You don't have to go to him. Right. You see, like in this situation, I mean, minions on top
race,
of.
though. We're in overtime right now. And
Did you read the tooltip? Oh my god! You gotta read the tooltip.
Lightning hits the 3 highest health things, and when that tower went down to 60, he should have actually lightninged like before when it had like 300 health or whatever.
Yeah. There are ways you can angle your lightning such that it avoids.
ESLYO was able to recover quick enough that Debro, 2 health, 1 swing, 1 zap. Oh my.
That's what I was talking about, your defense. It's all about your minor defense, man.
Yeah.
Because in that situation, you don't actually have to go across the river.
Woke me up. All right, so we go into the top 8 now. Let's go and hop into Super Magical Cup.
Oops, that for you. It's one word.
Oh, it's all one word?
You can't actually.
No, sir.
Supercell. Please.
And here we are, getting ready for the top 8. Wow, a stacked top 8.
2 names that we've been waiting to see kind of make big performances.
Yeah,
CMC Hugh and Patriots 34 make their way. And
let's put the bracket up in the. Actually, we could probably refresh it over here.
So, interestingly enough, 2 names that I feel like
very interesting group of
really pay attention to, and that would be those 2 in
Wow,
Group A.
Yeah, that's right. They came out of the group of death. Yeah. Actually, none of the people we expected to come. Let's put the bracket up here. Okay. Take this down.
Is the one right above it?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so brackets up here, and we're gonna look at the top 8 players real quick. We've got level 99, Marcus 35, both 2 new faces, never made a top 8 before. Yep. Zadian, Patriots 34, also I believe never made a top 8. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Zadian, I think, has top 8'd once, but never made the cash money rounds. And Patriots 34 is someone who kind of a caster favorite. We see him in a lot of matches, but have never quite been able to take it home. Excited for his first top 8 appearance. We'll see how deep Patriots can go. Rob Stark impressed us this week. First top 8. CMC Hugh, not a top 8. Big Elite Gaming. We talked about Elite Gaming earlier. Elite Gaming representative. Very good tournament player. Has top 8'd, I believe, the first Invitational of the season, and it's good to see him back. ESLYO and Baka Lol, who we've both seen a little bit around before also. I think this is actually a week of Insurgents top 8s. And to your point, you said you wanted to call out. Let's go take a look at how level 99 and Rob Stark got here, because they did not have an easy path. Yeah. They came through what we thought was a stacked bracket of Clark Kent, Woody, and Clyde. So here's Rob Stark.
Had to go through
2 O's Robin.
Yep. Had to go through Clark Kent.
2 O's Stella Rim. Wow. So who is this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
And down here, level 99, someone we had not really seen or called out much of. 2 O's, 2 1's you. 2 1's Clyde, which is hard to do. We know that Clyde is often drops game 1 of the matches, but can never quite be eliminated.
Yep.
Chicken Bob beats Woody, immediately loses to Clyde, and then level 99 takes him out.
Yeah, interesting. Super interesting way for the brackets to roll out.
Zadian takes Darkslayer, who we've seen before. Darkslayer is a Super Magical regular. Kevin Shaw in round 2, 2-1, 2-1, and then 2 O's Justin in the top 16 round.
Yeah. Justin again stopped just short of the top 8.
Trainer Chris, a former finalist, gets bumped in the first round. ESLYO moves past Shreddy Wop. And Debro here, the match that we saw, that very tight match there, beats him in 2 games.
About qualifier heroes rising up in the Invitational and starting to make their footprint.
And that's good because you're practicing all week in these tournaments. Like, even if you have a lot of points and you feel like, oh, well, I've got a lot of Super Magical points, I don't need to really play in tournaments before the weekly bracket. Those qualifiers provide the very much needed practice to get you warmed up all the way here. So even more upsets. Check it out. Bakalol starts to cut through, but beats Santi, preventing Santi from top 8ing the third time in a row.
Santi upsetted Grubby.
Wow.
Oh, that was one of the matches that we wanted to see.
Santi takes out last week's winner, Grubby, and Master Sparky, who has done really well in this 4. Was probably very confident going into the match with Bakalol and gets 2-0'd. We'll have to see what Bakalol is playing for sure.
Yeah.
Down here, Vizard, top 8er last week, gets upset. Malcade gets upset in the first round. I'm sorry, wins the first round, gets upset in the second by Marcel.
Marcel
leads
playing pretty
with 2
well.
upsets, but can't take it home against Patriots, who 2-0s them. Wow, Patriots who also beat Darth Jar Jar in the second round. So Patriots is hot this week. What kind of decks is Patriot running?
Yeah. 5th Kazakage is somebody, and I don't think they can quite see that.
Top forward last week. Yeah, I can't quite go all the way down. But top forward last week gets bumped in the second round. Any other upsets? CMC Hugh beats Springtrap, Supernatural, and Raintown. Wow, so Raintown can't see actually another Elite Gaming representative.
Yeah.
They had to bump each other out here in the top 16, and CMC Hugh takes down Raintown 2-1.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot of interesting outcomes.
So we will definitely get back into this bracket here. Let's get into, okay, what do we want to watch? Game 1, Rainy's choice.
Let's watch. So, I want to watch Zadian Patriots 34.
Actually, they got to go ahead and play their matches.
Yeah.
They haven't actually quite played yet.
Is everybody in the clan? Is that why?
I think so. They're all definitely in here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
8. So 8. Yeah, everybody's in the clan.
Yeah.
Because the bottom 3 are not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not participants.
Poor old Polo. Yeah. All right. So yeah, they're looking to go ahead and start playing. We want to go ahead and live spectate some of the first games.
Zadian versus Patriots. Yep, that's the one that I wanted to watch first.
All right, let's take this out. Watch this game 1 here. We'll have to live spectate here. Wait for McHugh. Everyone else go. Okay. So apparently CMC's has to take a break or whatever, but. We'll get the other games going, and we'll watch all them. So what we do, if this is your first Super Magical Cup, we're going to watch every game in the top 8. So we watch all the best 2 out of 3s for each top 8 match, all the way through the top 4 and the finals and whatnot. So stay tuned. We got about another 80 minutes or so of high-quality Clash Royale.
Yeah.
Ooh, we got ESL Yo Bakalol. Let's check that one out then. Oh, there we go. Zadian Patriots just started.
All right. What are we doing here? We're doing this and a this. Oh, no.
There we go.
There we go. Got that minor minion to open out. Okay. Oh no! He quit on the job. It's okay. The mini P.E.K.K.A. will stop that a little bit. But as true to the minor archetype name, 300 damage on that left side tower, and Zadian's gonna get nothing.
Both of these are packing some of the best defensive cards in the game. You're seeing Zadian with Ice Wizard, which is probably the toughest troop in the game to actually get through in terms of defense, and Inferno Tower on Patriots' side, the toughest building to crack for sure.
Yep.
These princesses, I guess, are just going to duel each other unless somebody wants to spend a zap on it. Nope, they're just going to let it happen.
Oh, okay, and the Hog Rider is the response. So, again, Hog Rider is making a fierce comeback. People are really trying hard to justify this card.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Hog Rider in the last few weeks. Last week with the Trifecta deck, that was a welcome return.
Interesting. He's going to take 400.
Again, that's twice now that Patriots has used basically just a minor to do a good amount of damage to Zadian's tower.
Yeah, he's just taking it.
It shows how weak minor is against towers, that the game is tied within about 200 damage just from things like guards and Hog Riders coming out of the opponent's base.
Yeah, one Hog Rider swing is what, 250 something?
Yeah, something like that.
That's like 3/4 of a minor swinging on your tower. 3/4 of the minor's life.
And here we go. We got the minor coming in from Zadian to clean up that annoying little princess. Oh, and it wins! Will it swing? It does not. Oh, actually, I think it would not have swung anyways.
That was actually a really great push. That was interesting because there was 2 towers shooting on Zadian's minor, zapped it so that it went back to the mini P.E.K.K.A. and then kind of got some damage on the right side. Just incredibly complicated. I feel like we would have to watch that in slow motion. Yeah,
there's a lot of interactions happening all at once.
You know who I'm sad didn't make it was it Clyde running the Triple Musketeer? 3 Musketeer.
Oh, Barbarian. You're right. The 3 Musketeer cycle almost. Yeah. I'm going to start writing down these decks so I can start to comment on it. We've got...
So that just popped up in my mind because I was thinking about split pushing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think split pushing is definitely going to come more into the meta. But of course, you can only play with the cards you have available to us.
Yeah.
The next update that comes out, Clash Royale said it's hopefully going to have new cards and new balance updates and stuff. So whenever that new update is, we're going to see the meta change, even again.
Yeah. Miner flapping away at that tower on the right side, and wow, actually Zadian did a lot of damage, and Patriots 34 could be at risk of dropping the first game.
But look at the elixir difference between Zadian and Patriots. I feel like only now is it starting to be even up after Zadian just dumped his hand with all these troops. Like, there's so many things going on. Yeah. I feel like Zadian has a pretty good elixir advantage right now, but those
oh wow,
great fire spirit.
Big problems for Patriots though. He has to play the mini P.E.K.K.A. to defend. And now he has to defend the Hog Rider. Good Inferno Tower, but that's going to not be able... He can't cycle that fast enough, Inferno Tower is just not a cannon. It's just a little bit too expensive for its function against the Hog Rider.
I don't know what to call Zadian's deck. It's like a minor Hog cycle, I guess.
Yeah, and he's actually outpacing Zadian, or rather Patriots right now. Miner goes uncontested, and Patriots finds himself having to spend Fire Spirits on that.
One more.
Oh!
That doesn't get the shot off.
He has Zap, but that's not enough.
Yeah, but I don't,
we haven't seen Zadian's last card. Oh.
If it's Rocket, time to cast it.
Oh my god, talk about double threat. Patriots is at 163 on one side and 70 on the other side.
Either tower. I think he might be trying to cycle either to a minor
or
a princess and takes it down. Zadian takes game one. Over, it wasn't triple legendary on Patriots' side, but it was sort of just like a minor control, right?
Yeah, we can go back and take a look at the decks that were played, the exact decks that were played in that match.
I just wanted to... Yeah, it's a minor control deck. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Got it down.
Patriots running Fireball. And what was that last card? It was Cannon. Cannon was the last card in Xavier's hand.
I guess you don't really need it against a minor deck. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunities to not cast that card. It makes sense.
Yeah. I will say that Cannon is actually a pretty comfortable card to play against Giant.
Yeah.
Just because Inferno Tower is definitely good, but it ramps up the elixir investment quite a bit, and then you have to kind of play that game around Zap, right?
I think they're about to start. I'm just taking a little peeky poo at some of the other decks here.
Oh.
Bakalol, I'm going to have to take some notes. All right, hold on.
All right. All right. Princess gets thwapped, and he also does the bump. It prevents another shot of damage.
Okay, so let's see. So
Patriots
Zadian,
is down.
It's funny. Last deck, or the last game between the two, I feel like Zadian was very dominant. Even though he only won 1-0, both of those towers were like dead. Were like completely not alive anymore.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Patriots can adapt.
What's happening? No.
One swing, two swings. Oh no!
Oh, I almost feel like a Zap was definitely worth it there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That Inferno Tower is a pretty big... Oh, wow. So I actually think Zadian was happy with that defense from Patriots because it's 5 elixir to counter your 4 elixir, and the mini P.E.K.K.A. got 1 swing on it. So by the time that Zadian's Giant crosses the river here, I don't expect that thing to still be alive.
Here it comes. The Giant's moving its way.
You notice the Inferno Tower was shot at the underground miner?
Yeah. Interesting.
I heard Log pushes back underground miners, too. Knocks it back. Makes it a little slower to get there.
Interesting. That means the bowler could do it too. Just random musings. Okay. Oh, wow, nice.
Ooh, that's a pretty good health-looking Musketeer right there.
Yep.
So I think that Musketeer's going to come over and do pretty much a lion's share of the damage.
And
even with a Zap. That Zap's actually not great in terms of preventing damage from Musketeer because she fires so quickly.
Yep. And the fact that the poison was tagged onto the tower just made it so the Musketeer survived just that bit longer. Okay. I like that choice because you already have the other one dissipating. Fireball, kind of a meme move.
Zadian has a huge elixir advantage right now because even after that Fireball hit 10 way before Patriots would hit 10 again.
And the big thing that I feel like is difficult to sell about that Fireball is you kind of maybe even want that Fireball for whatever it is that Zadian's going to be playing right now. Like,
I like the guards here running in front of the Giant. I don't know if they're going to pick up the Inferno Tower.
No.
They don't.
That's why minions are the thing you should play in that situation.
But nice zap, though. You see that he zapped there and that it was able to... Oh, wow.
Oh,
and another one comes out.
That's not going to be good,
that with the mini P.E.K.K.A. It's always... And then here with... That's crazy is whenever the defense is stifled enough that everyone kind of gets up like this, you sometimes see double tank. And it looks like, ooh, Zadian's going to take this 2-0 over Patriots 34. Mostly on the back of, I mean, I would say excellent minor defense.
Yeah.
Really seem to fundamentally understand how to stifle those Inferno Tower pushes and things like that as well.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I don't feel like I've seen Patriots 34 playing as miner on the Elixir Collector at all.
Yeah.
You know?
And we don't know what Patriot's second deck was, because Patriot played the miner control deck in both of those two matches. Zadian, the way we do our tournaments, if it's your first time watching Super Magical Cup, players have to register 2 decks, and they have to win with both decks in a single match. So once that Miner Hog Cycle deck was won with, Zadian had to pull out a second deck, a giant kind of push beatdown, and was able to 2-0 with both games, with both decks.
Let's watch the next match. So Zadian will move on against Patriots.
Big fan of this archetype, Bakalol. So I guess we'll switch up some of these featured cards.
Let me just make sure that there's no spoilers before we do this.
Oh, yeah. Ideally, if our admins should be running... Cool. Looks like the admins are doing it... only updating it after we watch the match, which is great, so we don't get any spoilers on the bracket.
Cool. I think you were saying something, but...
No, let's move on to this match. This ESL Yo we watched earlier playing the Prince deck, but this is a rare match that we don't get to see a whole lot of.
I wish we could see the Dark Prince stats.
Prince and...
The Dark Prince stats. We have the Prince. We have the Prince. Let's take a look at him.
Well, let's see. Actually, let's put on ESL Yo's side. I think we have the red one right now. Red is Bakalol. We're going to have to put the Prince up there because we've got the first double Prince deck we've seen in a long time. We've talked about that triple Charger deck being around. So I call this a triple Charger deck. I don't know if there's a true name for it, but the idea behind it is that you use both Princes and Mini P.E.K.K.A. to overwhelm the opponent's defense against just non-stop charging attacks. They might have, goblins or skeletons or guards, but they don't have enough to stop multiples of them. And when you're talking earlier about split pushing, this is a deck that split pushes very well because you can put something like a Prince behind your King Tower in one lane and then commit a bunch of elixir to the other lane, and it's hard to stop both pushes at the same time. I actually am fond of this deck. I'm hoping Bakalol wins this because this is the archetype that I have had the most tournament success with myself.
Oh,
this triple charger. I finished second in a big tournament and won a big multi-thousand card chest with a deck like this. Some of the innovations I see in the list is running Ice Spirit. Yeah. Which we haven't seen. Yeah, very cool. On the other end, we've got ESL Yo running
Giant Prince.
Yeah, giant poison deck that is with spicing it up with a little bit of Prince action in there. Let's go ahead and put the giant down.
I like that. So I got to see if ESL can sell me on this. And obviously he's won with this now that he's here in the tournament. But again, Giant Prince is just something that it's so expensive in terms of the elixir investment. And I just haven't really seen it up against combinations that really justify it. I
think one of the key interactions here will be how good is Bakalol at stopping this giant push? Because we say how hard it is to get giant. I mean, it's hard to do enough damage to giant before it dies. It is not that hard when you've got Prince, Mini P.E.K.K.A., Guard, all these other cards. So a lot of times what you can do is they have giant and something else. You play Prince and something else. You end up not only killing that giant push pretty decisively, but then you have a scary counter push, a full health Prince, etc.
Absolutely.
Pushing back your way. So here we go. We see
the
Prince is going to ride right through this poison and not take too much damage from it.
Yep.
Ooh, good play by the guards there.
Interesting. Ice Spirit's going to freeze everything up, and that might be just enough to give him the advantage. He might even want to play one more card on top of that Mini P.E.K.K.A. Nice, that shield.
And wow, with the Mini P.E.K.K.A. does...
Oh, and here comes now. He's in trouble. What do you have? Look at ESL Yo's hand. There's actually nothing in his hand.
Zap is one of the most common things you can play against this deck, actually.
The Prince is going to connect. Doesn't get the charge.
You counter those giant pushes with Princes, and the Prince push back really hard.
Nice. Big damage on the left side.
They have so much hit points. Maybe look at it. 1,500 hit points is a lot. It's more than a Mini P.E.K.K.A. It's actually almost... It's about 1,000 less than a Royal Giant.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Guards against Prince is clean. Easy trade. Take that any time of the day. And the question is, will ESL Yo opt to poison the collector again? Because last time that really didn't work out for him.
No, yeah. I think it definitely gives the opening. I think you want it on your defensive pushes because these giants the Princes can get hung up on zap, skeletons, whatever. You can get a lot of value out of the poison on defense.
Again, they're both throwing their Princes into guards, which I don't really know if I...
Ooh, Mini P.E.K.K.A. there gets caught up by guards.
Okay, so the guards are a very high value card in this matchup. Now Baka doesn't have...
Those princes actually survive without losing his shield like he did the first time, so he may be able to charge a little further. Ooh, look at that Ice Spirit there as sort of a zap, a second zap for that deck.
Wow, okay, so he actually does end up playing the Prince. Nice zap, good zap.
And it keeps the Princess alive to start chipping away at that tower. You see, he cycled almost to get a second Princess.
I like that Ice Spirit.
Ooh, and the guards are dead. So now both those princesses are going to live, psych, until the Musketeer starts picking them off.
Yep. Unfortunate. The Giant gets DPS down.
That Musketeer has just been doing work on ESL Yosa. I feel like that's the amount of, if you can even see it, like that's the amount of value that you can start to see ESL Yol gain an elixir advantage on the back of that one Musketeer that killed, 8 elixir worth of stuff or more.
Yep. Here comes a big Giant Prince push. But again, the guards are going to stop that Prince pretty handily. It doesn't have the tower damage to help out, so it'll be interesting to see if they can actually do it all the way.
The Ice Spirit blocks the Prince, preventing any damage to this counter push. And look at that. That is
This is a deadly combination.
That's 13 elixir worth of meanness.
Ooh, Prince plus, or Princess plus Dark Prince takes down the guards pretty handily. But I don't know if this... Oh, there's another one. He's going to have to play Giant.
Yeah, the problem is that Giant on defense is a very good defensive play here when you have something like Musketeer.
Yeah.
Like you'll happily take that value.
Yeah. So the question is, can Baka somehow turn this around to give him a scary enough push?
I think Baka has actually already turned it around by getting 2 princesses out. We saw last time how the one Musketeer killed both princesses and provided a lot of value, but once those 2 princesses get out and just are applying a lot of overlapping AoEs, that's when you can tell this deck is starting to turn it around.
Very fast...
My man Baka lol.
Very fast dropping game. Cards were being played very quickly, and guards were definitely the hero of that matchup. Just constantly on both sides, guards were key cards to be played. I think the big difference was, as you were mentioning, the princesses for Baka. The fact that he was able to keep the double princess alive really helped clear the path for the Prince and a Dark Prince.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest fear you have with all those triple charger characters is minions, right? Minions are the actual worst thing you could ever want to go up against, and if you don't have things like Zap Princess, whoa, we got loggies. If you don't have like Zap Princess and all other stuff, you're never gonna get your pushes through.
Yeah. All right. So how should we arrange this? So do we want to keep the Prince up there for ESL?
Yeah, why not? Oh no, we have to switch it. Giant switch to Prince.
So I'm not exactly sure what.
Yeah, we don't get to use Prince too much. Yeah. Let's keep him up there. We'll have to make one for guards.
Interesting, the charge damage on Prince is like 638 damage or so. It's a ton.
It's it's a good amount of damage. It's enough to one-hit a Barbarian and leaves things like Musketeer and Wizard, Mini P.E.K.K.A just barely alive.
Prince Poison? Maybe. Maybe. We'll think about it.
We've got Log here, and I imagine the Log is there not only to go along with the Mini P.E.K.K.A, but of course to keep people off of your Musketeer and your Giant. That's pretty cool.
I wonder. Log. It's actually curious, if you have the Mini P.E.K.K.A, and let's go ahead and get this game started while we're talking. If you get this situation where your Mini P.E.K.K.A is right in front of your opponent's tower, and then they play a card like Guards or something, or another Mini P.E.K.K.A to try to defend it, if you log and push that defensive card out of the way, will the Mini P.E.K.K.A retarget to the tower and just take a swing?
Yes. It'll retarget. Yeah, any sort of displacement force, it works like a stun effect where you can push people off your tower. It's actually, Log is the only way to push Hog Rider off of your tower. Like, for example, if a Hog Rider is locked on, you play a cannon, it just moves the Hog to the side, doesn't push him back like it does in Prince. But if you log them and then play a cannon, that does work.
Interesting. So interesting things to think about. Here comes Le Prince. Guards. Ah, there we go. Ooh. And maybe this is a situation where we're talking about the log.
Oh man, look at this push here on the right side. Looks pretty intimidating. That Mini P.E.K.K.A is going to get close. Well, maybe not with them all the guards around. The guards cleaned it up pretty quickly. Of course, that Mini P.E.K.K.A takes no guff. From,
still pretty good. I mean, that Giant did a good amount of
really
about 500 damage.
Really beneficial, actually, for ESL Yol that the Princess is locked on. Allows that Mini P.E.K.K.A to walk up and just take her out.
Yeah, has to play another card.
Wow. Oh, that tower's still going. He has nothing to stop the Giant in his deck, or he's playing the Mini P.E.K.K.A to counter other Mini P.E.K.K.As as opposed to using it against the Giant like we would all want you to.
I almost think like Log as a defensive card is very, very hard to justify. I would almost just throw that Elixir in offense. every single time, just because relying on it in terms of defense. I mean, you saw he still had to play the mini P.E.K.K.A in front of the.
You're right, because the tower was attacking, but the princess wasn't helping out.
Yeah, yeah.
I like how that dragged the guards backwards and allowed them to help on the push. It's unfortunate that the princess is going to clean them out, but and it's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, I just feel like we talk about how hard it is to stop Giant. Bakalol does not seem to, it's funny, last game was just crushing these Giants and pushing back really hard, and this deck seems to struggle a lot with just stopping a pretty basic Giant poison push.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with offset cycling, because Bakalol had to do some pretty dramatic defense and commit cards that he didn't really want to. He had to spend, for example, log mini P.E.K.K.A on one card on the side. That means the Giant cycle was offset, and the second Giant that ESLYO played on the right got a lot of mileage. Let's see if that's the case here. Guards mini P.E.K.K.A seems to be a good combination of cards today.
Yeah, definitely. Guards took a little bit to show up in the tournament scene, I think, because it's an epic, or it's a new card, it's an epic, it takes a while for people to get into level 4. We're even seeing a lot of people with level 3 guards doing very well, so it's not even that people having a tournament cap. Oh no.
I think
it looks like this might be,
out.
yeah, Bakalol's going to let it go. I think he realizes with only 20 seconds left, there's no way to do both.
So the curious thing is now Baka is still going to have to play his log deck, and ESLYO has to play the alternate deck, which I don't exactly remember what it is. Yeah. Oh, no. We don't want to watch that again. All right, let's see where we are at here. I believe this was
game 2.
So here is the third game. Let us see.
So we have a minor control deck for ESLYO. It's the lightning one, right, that we saw earlier, against, this giant poison thing. Now, on the benefit for Bakalols, there's no giant in the enemy deck. So that struggle to deal with those cards is maybe not so bad. On the downside is he's got a giant, and the opponent has an Inferno Tower.
Inferno Tower, yep. So I think let's go ahead and put the Musketeer up here. Musketeer against towers in general are really, really great, just because of the range that they have. Super important in...
For blue, the blue side needs to be something else. Blue should probably be giant.
Oh, I did it the wrong way around.
Actually, put up Elixir Collector there, because I think one of the key things for Bakalol in this game is going to be... and then red needs something else. Probably Miner. I'll probably put Miner versus Elixir Collector. I think one of the key things is if Bakalol can defend his collectors against enemy miners and there's no big push coming afterwards, then Bakalol can build up these big pushes that overwhelm the Inferno Tower. But if not, and those Elixir Collectors get chewed up over and over again, well...
Yeah, it's going to hurt your potential.
You're not going to be able to crack an Inferno Tower with just 10 Elixir at a time.
Mm-hmm. Oftentimes dealing with these defensive towers is not necessarily even about evenly trading against the Inferno Tower. It's about trading enough that they don't actually have an option to deal with everything extra that you use to defeat the tower.
And there we see, great start, by the way, for Bakalol. He got the log on the Princess, got the mini P.E.K.K.A on the Miner. So far, things are looking great for Bakalol at the start of this game. He's doing everything we talked about in the pre-match about what should be done, really, to stop this.
This mini P.E.K.K.A will be stopped, but justifies the use of poison. Going to get a good 200 or so damage.
Yeah. Now, ESLYO has lightning. Now he has it in hand. Didn't always have it before. So Bakalol might be a little surprised on future Elixir Collectors.
Nice. Oh, not nice.
Take a little splash damage there.
Oh, still gets a shot off. Oh no, and the Musketeer squeezes in front.
Oh! Pushed around on the tight bridge.
Nice.
Unfortunately, that mini P.E.K.K.A placed perfectly. Almost didn't even need the Inferno Tower because the mini P.E.K.K.A would have killed both of it. But now you got about 35 seconds left of Inferno Tower guard on your side.
Yep. And it's not going to do great against the guards, but just peace of mind. No need to spend any extra elixir here.
Has Baka seen a miner yet? He has. So I feel like you should probably be playing
those Elixir Collectors. Oh no, you got to be looking. Keep your eyes open.
It's a great little psych out. I like that.
Oh my god, and it actually hurts a lot. The 3 minions actually make their way. So log to always trade against Princess, which is, it's all right. It's okay.
Princess is definitely one of the most common cards. It's every week that I do these deck list reports on Reddit that you can check out. Last week's is on Reddit right now if you go down a page or two, and I'll post the next one on Friday for this tournament. One of the most common cards played week in and week out is Princess. It's just so versatile. It goes in so many different decks. That I think that is definitely one of the strong suits.
Okay.
So he doesn't know about lightning. He didn't know about lightning.
This is gonna start getting tough for Baka if he lets it go. Okay. Oh. No.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god.
skimpy defense. You wanted to go cost effective, but you needed to make sure that the minions were down.
Right. This is, not looking good. So here we go, Baka. Wow. So after a dominating Game 1 performance with that triple charger deck, drops Games 2 and 3. I mean, it's 18 seconds left, but it doesn't look like
it looks
push is
pretty tough.
Yeah, I don't see anything coming down in the next 15 seconds.
There's an Inferno Tower still, too.
Yeah. So, wow, that triple charger deck really impressed. I mean, like, that was really strong. That was a very dominating game, but it seemed like the second deck list here, not quite familiar enough with it to be able to take it home. That shows how deck building and being able to play a variety of different styles is key to being the best Clash Royale player in the world. Bakalol brought, I think, a very good and innovative deck list to this top 8. And but you need 2. You need 2 to advance far in the Super Magical Cup. So congratulations on your first top 8, Bakalol. I think that was we were happy to watch your games.
Yeah.
And we will see you hopefully next week where you get a little further.
I would like to see him figure out some way to continue pushing the that double prince deck. Maybe find some way to justify it and not sacrifice the double prince. You know, keep the princes in there and figure out some way to make it work.
Maybe play like Valkyrie instead of Dark Prince or something like that, so you can have those cards in both decks. So here we go. We've got Zadian and ESL Yo are our first 2 semifinalists of the week.
Yep.
So we've got Level 99 and Marcus or Rob Stark and CMC Hugh.
Let's figure out who will join Zadian.
We'll have the big show match between Rob Stark and CMC Hugh last. That'll be last the top 8. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Level 99 versus Marcus 75. Let's take a look at this deck. Triple Legendary with Hog Rider.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, I think we saw this last week too, and it was very difficult for me to think about how it would really find effectiveness. But definitely kind of a slightly more expensive Hog Cycle. You know, 3 is still very cheap, but it's definitely not 2 and 1. Right?
Yeah, I think that with the prevalence of cards like Zap, the Hog Cycle sort of fell out of favor because when literally 8 out of 8 decks run Zap or whatever, your Goblins, your Spear Goblins are not going to be that useful. So I think by upgrading a lot of those support cards to the minor Princess Ice Wizard tricks, you get not only a great defensive card in Ice Wizard, you get support, AoE support that kills skeletons and goblins and whatnot for your attacks, and Miner helps you undermine all the elixir collectors that prevent anyone from getting these huge, overwhelming pushes against you. So I think the 3 of them really complement the Hog Cycle idea very well.
All right. Then on Marcus' side, pretty standard Giant Poison, Elixir Collector. It doesn't have the Princess, and instead we'll opt to use Guards, Ice Wizard. So
are Guards the most popular card this week? Like,
I feel like
they've been in every deck. Have we seen a deck that they're not in yet?
I just think Guards are such a great option against numerous amounts of high damage units.
And they speak to the popularity of Mini P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah.
Like Mini P.E.K.K.A. is one of the most, top 3 most popular cards. It's like kind of supplanted Barbarians as the melee attacker of choice.
It's like another chumpy unit, like a Skeleton, Goblin, Spear Goblin, but it can't be zapped. So you know for sure when you play the Guards that Mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to be handled, at least for a good amount of swings. Okay, here we go. This is the Hog Rider push. Guards in front, but Zap plus Ice Wizard.
Great opening for Marcus. I mean, that's kind of exactly what you want, right? You handle it. That Ice Wizard's really the only thing that's even threatening, and it goes down with a Mini P.E.K.K.A. Still has a ton of health. Ooh.
Yep. So again, this is why Guards are popular.
Coming right back at you.
Yep. Oh, and the Zap.
Both decks running Ice Wizard and decks that are vulnerable to Ice Wizard.
Yep.
Giant pushes have a hard time with Ice Wizard, and Hog Riders have a hard time. Mini P.E.K.K.A.s don't usually go anywhere.
Yep.
So I think this game might come down to who can be the first one to crack. I think Marcus has so far got a great early start by defending the first collector, getting a second collector out, and being in a position, looks like, to get a third collector if he really wants to. I didn't like that he was leaking elixir. I feel like you really got to defend that advantage. Once you have your elixir collectors out, never hit 10 again.
Oh no! King Tower mad.
Oh no, did the miner hit the King Tower?
It was a zap.
It was
a zap. Yep.
A little sloppy.
Oh no, and the cannon. Okay, good. Playing the Guards in front, so the cannon's going to attract the Giant. But Poison is going to go a long way, and there's no other supporting troops. Okay, he's going to have to slow down the Giant, but that Ice Wizard is going to get a ton of damage.
A lot of swings, but not a lot of damage. I mean, it takes about 5 Ice Wizard attacks to hit like 1 Giant punch, so you can usually let the Ice Wizard go for a bit, but you're right. That with that, Marcus takes the lead.
Yeah.
Finally converts that elixir advantage into actual damage on the tower.
Unfortunate that he ended up losing the collector, but always the big problem with Hog Rider is once there's 2 towers shooting at your Hog Rider, it's almost like the winning the Hog Rider game and getting your Hog Rider up to the tower to get swings doesn't pay you off as well because the Hog just dies so much quicker. Oh my god, and 3 things shooting at the miner. Oh, I just don't know. I don't know, man. With the King Tower activated, playing miners in the middle is just instant death. That's tough.
Oh, and the poison they're getting both the cannon and the princess is going to really
and this mini
any sort of
P.E.K.K.A. Yep. This mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to get taken care of too.
At least the Ice Wizard is still there to stop the guards.
Yep.
Those guards could have got on the tower and done a pretty significant amount of damage.
Yep.
And let's see, you're going to go after, you're right, that King Tower is now defending both Elixir Collectors pretty aggressively.
Yep.
Like,
Here we go.
Yep. On the Musketeer too, no thanks.
Yep. Oh wow, that Hog Rider with the slow gets, chewed up even before it could really make its way across the 3rd tile.
It didn't really make anything resembling a threat to the tower.
Level 99 is still ahead in tower damage, but the game's momentum has completely shifted. Poison has actually had to be committed on defense, so that could help a little bit. Mini P.E.K.K.A. chews up the Musketeer, but it's not going to be able to get past the guards. Ugh, this is rough.
What I like about guards is that because there are 3 of them and they have really quick attacks, is that they can also clean up enemy guard skeletons, goblins that you use to protect your mini P.E.K.K.A. with.
I actually think Marcus is slowly playing into a trap, having to commit his poison on defense. Oh wow.
Oh, it doesn't get the second attack.
Ice Wizard is just so great. So great against Hog Riders.
The problem is, we're in overtime and it's so deep now. Yeah, I haven't used the poison on offense, you mean?
Yeah, well, he actually cycled back to defense.
Oh no! Marcus only needs 1 punch and this match is over!
Oh, man.
Wow, Marcus. I was going to say, actually, that could have gone bad for Marcus at any time because 400 health is low enough that a single, minor zap, few minions, anything like that could take it down. But he was able to eke out that win. I think early on, being able to get that big elixir advantage was great. And then, you're right. Activating the King Tower was a huge mistake by level 99 because that prevented any future miner from ever being truly effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like even then, on defense, level 99 was very incentivized to play a lot of elixir before the poison dropped.
Sure.
And I think he was holding elixir, kind of hoping that the poison wouldn't drop, and it was kind of like, well, just make sure you clear all the units before the poison really kicks in,
So what do we have here? We have another giant
Prince.
Giant Prince. Wow. So last week we noticed a lot of giant miner as sort of being the new archetype that all the people who put the brains together had come up to. Giant Prince seems very interesting this week.
Giant Prince. So there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. 3 Musketeers is seemingly not in the top 8 anymore. Princes are for some reason really popular. We haven't seen P.E.K.K.A. Fireball's still kind of just not really there.
Yeah,
right?
Poison's still the more favorite card.
Just a lot of interesting things to note. Giant is still popular, but now the units that are supporting it are being swapped around.
Marcus brings up another trifecta deck for sure. Well, this one running the Ice Spirit that's been so popular this week, but opting to not run the mini P.E.K.K.A. that we have seen sort of supplant the cannon. Now, I actually think this will help a lot against the Prince mini P.E.K.K.A. sort of chargers going on over in level 99's deck. While you'd like to have the mini P.E.K.K.A., mini P.E.K.K.A. is not actually great against a charging Prince.
Absolutely. What cards shall we feature? We have a lot of choices here. Interesting. Oh, actually, something really interesting to talk about Marcus's deck. It don't have no mini P.E.K.K.A.
No mini P.E.K.K.A., yeah. I mean, actually, I think the cannon will help, but we'll see. Like, the nice thing is he's not going to be vulnerable to the guards in level 99's deck. Level 9, we've seen guards just completely make fools out of mini P.E.K.K.A.s all day, and it's a little advantage there that Marcus can just rely on defending and not having to use that counterattack.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind right now, I'm thinking it's, even though there's so many counter cards to mini P.E.K.K.A., it's just such a great, it's almost like another defensive structure, right? You play it and you're like, I'm just going to chop away this guy, I'm going to stop a giant, I'm going to stop a royal giant, I'm going to stop, whatever it is, another mini P.E.K.K.A., musketeer. Just the fact that it does so much damage defensively means it's really valuable because there's not really you don't get enough time to really stop that mini P.E.K.K.A. from swinging, right? Oh my God.
Right there. Look at that with the Musketeer held in place and the zap. So that was a smart zap on the Musketeer because zap plus Musketeer kills.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look at.
So really on level 99 side, he only cast what Giant Poison Zap 11 Elixir. And on the other side, we saw 5, 3, 4, about the same, maybe a little more, and then of course took the damage on the tower for all the effort.
Yep, and now he's gonna get a Giant Musketeer combo pushing across the side. He doesn't have Zap or Poison. He has Poison in cycle, so he could Poison Zap again. There we go. Full health Musketeer.
Little too slow on that Valkyrie. It allowed the Musketeer to get a few shots in. You'd much rather have the Musketeer shooting the Valkyrie, who has a huge hit point pool and can just sort of deflect it, right?
And you know, like very similar to other 4-cost cards like a Hog Rider, Mini P.E.K.K.A., the Musketeer getting 3 shots is like,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
She does like 176.
Oh, God!
Great zap there to get the full Prince charge damage in.
Oh my God!
And then the poison, I don't think it's going to kill the Musketeer, but it should put it low enough that it maybe gets 1 shot on the tower, maybe 0.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my
Level
God.
99 just eking out the value. Just Zaps. I mean, that's another reason why we see Zap in every deck and it's hard to replace. Is that the instant casting, the cheap cost, the stun. It's a combat trick that really doesn't have a peer. It's really hard to make arrows tilt to combat in the same way that Zap can almost every time you play it.
Yeah. Okay, here comes a dangerous combination. Oh, yep, he's still got the Mini P.E.K.K.A.
And I like the guards are in front. They're going to guard for the Mini P.E.K.K.A.
Yep.
Absorb some of those cannon shots. I think this would be a good time to cast a poison just because you only need about 2 poisons to kill. Opts not to, decides just to let it.
Will that Musketeer shoot the cannon? Oh, it does. Wow, that's big, and he's got double Giant. All he needs to do is just zap that Musketeer. This is Trouble Town for Marcus.
Sure. Oh, and I like the Prince there to deal with that Valkyrie. Mini P.E.K.K.A. comes behind.
Oh, and the zap! Oh, here comes the Prince! Oh,
20 seconds left.
2 times in a row. Level 99 with a Zap Prince combination.
Prince must be the breakout card this week because we didn't see a lot of it at all in the last couple of weeks. And it's been really impressive as an answer to these Hog Riders, as an answer to Mini P.E.K.K.A.s, Musketeers. It's such a powerful counterattack that instead of looking for an Elixir positive trade, if you're willing to do an Elixir negative trade of playing a 5-cost Prince to counter a 4-cost Valkyrie or whatever, you basically get rewarded with this awesome counter push for only 1 Elixir.
I mean, look, that Prince had that much health, and the zap was just enough to get it to charge over the tower and take it down.
So level 99 and Marcus go to a game 3 now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh. You know, it's great because in the last few weeks, we've had 2-0s in the top 8 round, and I'm excited to see that we've had a couple now 3-game matches in the top 8.
All right, level 99 won with the Prince deck and has to go to Hog Cycle with triple legendary. Marcus has to stay with his Mini P.E.K.K.A.-less Trifecta Ice Spirit deck.
Who's a better Hog player? Now, I think this is actually going to favor Marcus. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Both have cannons. Both have Hog Rider. Both have cannon. Both have Zap.
We're kind of... I mean, I feel like the meta was steadily going in a particular direction, and now people are trying to make adjustments, and the meta's kind of...
Yeah. I really like the Elixir Collector in the Trifecta deck because that's going to allow Marcus to control the tempo of the game. Marcus is not going to be forced to attack over and over again like level 99 is. Like when level 99 hits 10 Elixir, what do? You got to play something. Marcus can kind of like, Elixir collect, you do something, and then use the level 99's predictability at attacking in to take control of the game and win. So I kind of favor Marcus in this one because of the Elixir Collector.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. You know, at the end of the day, Miner is such a strong card because it will always threaten your Elixir Collector almost in every situation.
It's a +2 trade if you get it, like if it's not answered effectively or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, executionally, if Marcus can he has Ice Spirits or play Valkyrie or play something, right? It'll catapult him into an advantageous position. Meanwhile, for level 99, I really believe the Mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to be a big card for him here.
Yeah, definitely, because without Mini P.E.K.K.A., I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A. is one of the best ways to answer Hogs. Even though both have Hog, both have Cannon, the additional counter of having Mini P.E.K.K.A. in your deck is going to make your defense that much more reliable. And yes, we show this is going to be a tough game for Hogs.
Yep.
No country for old Hogs because there are very few of them. I think
there's the pushy push.
Oh no! The cannon, a little greedy on the cannon there.
Still got the Mini P.E.K.K.A. You know, and that's what we're talking about.
Trying to place that cannon outside of poison range, maybe.
Yeah. Well, he's got the stereotypical 3-4, right, as Orange Juice likes to call it, the 3-4 distancing. But he just played it a little bit too late. The Hog Rider was past the second tile.
Sure.
You need to make sure you play it early enough. Okay, and this is what we're talking about. You starting to build up elixir collectors. Where's that miner?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to play Princess. Okay, well, Princess is going to kill the cannon, like I guess. But right now, level 99, whether or not I realize it, is like in the process of building up a push that you have to commit to.
Yep.
And that allows Marcus to reliably say, I'm going to put my Musketeer, I'm going to start putting my defense in the lane, knowing that you have to
Oh, here comes a fake out, and the miner's going to tank both towers.
I like the fake out. And the cannon comes down a little too late.
Nice, and the zap means 3 swings.
Wow, pretty smart there by level 99 to be able to punch through some damage.
Good.
And that cannon now is off cycle. Like, if he can get another, well, both decks can cycle.
Oh, no, play the cannon. Oh, he's not going to be able to do it. Oh, my God.
What's going on here? Oh, it was a delay. That's what it was. So he had hit the mini P.E.K.K.A., but it takes that half second for it to form, then it's got to send it to the server.
Yep.
Wow, so Marcus takes an early 1-0 lead, and playing the Trifecta deck, which is much more of a defensive deck than Hog Cycles are, I'm not sure what level 99 can do in the next minute. Let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, has forced through some pretty tricky damage.
Yeah. And, man, that last push that we were talking about is exactly like you said about the interaction. Level 99 had committed to the push, and Marcus was like, I'm going to start building up my defenses, and then the Hog Rider on the other side really changed the dynamic of that push. Wow, defensive poison is just so... Okay, well, at least he knocks down the Elixir Collector, but he's got 30 seconds to make something happen. And throwing a Hog away into no tower damage is not going to be the way to improve that situation.
We got a cannon, got a good cannon placement there finally.
Nice, yep, got triple towers. King Tower has a good amount of range, so
yes,
playing the cannon there is fine after your first tower is done. Elixir Collector's in the hyper defensive position.
Right, it's basically just willing to trade Elixir for time and hit points.
Oh man, and I feel like we are seeing reasons why Hog Rider is just not...
The Hog Cycle. Well, it's not so much that Hog Cycle is a bad deck, it's that Trifecta, which is one of the most popular control decks, probably the most popular no legendary deck in the game, crushes you. It's sort of a Hog deck built to beat other Hog decks.
Yep.
And you can see that even though there was some cool, innovative play there with the triple legendary Hog Cycle deck, it just wasn't enough to crack through. Before we get into the CMC Hugh match, I'm gonna get another refill of water here. Do you want anything?
Problem. Sure, I'll get more water too.
That's good.
Thanks a bunch. All right, Rob Stark versus CMC Hugh is gonna be our next match. Big opportunity for CMC Hugh to kind of push his way into the top 4. And let's take a look at what the decks are going to be. CMC Hugh versus Rob Stark, and oh, that's right. Oh, interesting. Wow, Rob Stark is running a crazy deck. Runham's is going to be really, really excited about this. But let's take a look here. Rob Stark, not only is he running a crossbow, but he's running the log, and he's running lightning, and he has Inferno Tower. So for all intents and purposes, this seems like Mega Siege, right? He doesn't really have cards that do well pushing across the river. The mini P.E.K.K.A. is very easily defended when it pushes across the river. Guards are pretty okay at moving across, but they're not going to be the thing that allows you. They're not like a giant, right? They're not going to allow you to live on the opponent's side of the map for a very long time. And then Ice Spirit, Fire Spirits are very chippy damage. They're not things that give you consistent output. So really, his big damage dealer is going to be the crossbow. That's his wing condition. Lightning, I expect to clear, and oh my god, what are the chances he has lightning against 3 Musketeer? That's probably the nail in the coffin. I mean, 3 Musketeer versus lightning is just the easiest 3 elixir advantage you're ever going to get in your life. Lightning's AoE is so big, even if they try to split up their 3 Musketeer, you're almost always going to get all 3 of them. And if not, if there's a higher health than the 3 Musketeers, you're probably going to welcome that. It's not going to be a Lava Hound. It's not going to be a giant. We know that from CMC Hugh's deck. So let's take a look. Very interesting decks matching up. I think Rumham, man, I wish he had waited a moment before he left, but let's take a look. We have the ever so popular 3 Musketeers here. The Musketeers are really, really great cards. Let's go ahead and put that for CMC Hugh's side. And for Rob Stark's side, we saw Woody playing crossbows, but his deck kind of got shut down last time. Let's see if Rob Stark can make it successful with this new alternate version of the Siege deck. Rumham, you came back just in time.
Oh, perfect.
Don't flip out, but
I'm not flipping out. No flips.
Don't flip out, but take a look at some of these decks.
I won't flip out, I promise.
Take a look.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Take a look at these decks.
Wait, was this what Rob Stark was playing earlier? I mean, I guess we only watched one of his games. We didn't know that his Lightning, Inferno Tower, Expo,
and the log. And then even on the other side, look at the other side.
What the hell's happening to the meta? We thought we knew.
Yeah, we thought we knew. We didn't know.
All right, so let's take a look. So we got 3 Musketeers, Minor, Barbs. I like that. I like that deck a lot. CMC Hugh, I expect to split a lot, you know.
Yeah. Barb, triple musketeer split.
But also be able to use minor to kind of go either way, right? You split 3 musketeers. Whichever way they don't defend, you go tank with the minor in the other lane. Rob Stark. Wow, I'm really okay. So this is I'm excited, Rob Stark, that you're here because for so long we've only really had Woody as a dedicated siege player, and I'd like to see more innovation to mortar lists, more innovation to expo lists. We think of there's 3-4 different ways to play giant. There's 3-4 different ways to play Hog Rider and Miner and these other cards. So if Expo is one of these sneaky good cards that just needs more committed players to it, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
So
let's take a look. I'm excited to see how this.
I'm glad we made the Expo thing. How great is that?
Yeah. We made it just for
Woody, but I'm glad we got some more use out of it.
Yeah, I believe this is the one, right? Just making sure that's the first game. All right. In the Frozen Peak, Rob Stark. How appropriate.
All right. King of the North.
He's on the northern side too. Look at him.
All right. Let's see. So what does that make CMC Hugh? Cersei? Cersei Hugh?
Cersei?
Sir MC Hugh?
Oh! Okay.
Great lightning right there, by the way. So if you think about it this way, even given that you get a discount on musketeers, 2 musketeers is worth 6 of the 9 elixir.
Yeah.
So he got 6 elixir off the board and damage for free.
Yeah. So the musketeer gets a bunch of good shots. It did tag onto the mini P.E.K.K.A, so that's actually a pretty big counter push from CMC Hugh. He gets a lot of damage on the right side. Still, though, CMC Hugh, I don't even know if he's identified what it's going to kill him right now.
I think I have no idea. Why would you ever presume Expo?
Yeah.
In a million years, right?
Yep.
You could let me guess 20 win conditions of the opponent. I probably wouldn't hit Expo. So great use of the log right there. We found a kind of a good use for log. When they place something, you know it's going to come in and hurt you kind of bad.
Wow, and the Ice Spirit too. Oh my gosh. Okay, finally.
So
but look at how much he played his whole hand.
Right. Had to cycle through a lot of stuff. I actually don't know who came out ahead on that one because Rob Stark did play another 5 elixir, right? The guards plus and the Ice Spirits of 6. It was about 12 there. But CMC Hugh certainly played a lot of cards of their own, right, to get that one off. I did like the log there, though, because a lot of times you have Expo, you expect something to come up, but you don't know what to play. And log sort of both does damage and buys you a little bit of time.
Oh, and another Expo, and this time CMC Hugh has committed a lot of elixir to triple musketeer, but we know it's not going to get anywhere because there's lightning.
He may not want a lightning the other 2 there.
I think he wants to wait. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Pretty effective, there.
That was 6 elixir.
So I wonder if Log is a card that's good at countering 3 Musketeers because at the 2 Musketeer side, you just really need the Log to drastically cut down the amount of damage you're going to take.
Ice Spirit barely stopped the Musketeer 1 step away from the tower. He lost 400 health for that.
You're right. That's what show. It's a game of inches. Every little square grid matters. And,
that's lightning.
Lightning?
That's lightning.
Doom.
And the crossbow. Look at it.
And the log takes the princess out.
Oh my God, you're just being slapped around right now, Cersei.
Well,
CMC Hugh.
That's what I actually like about.
It actually killed the tower. Wow.
Rob Stark knows something. What I really liked that CMC Hugh immediately didn't wallow in that loss. Immediately tried to push the other tower. It was stifled, but I think that's strategically the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Log against princess.
Log.
And the Barbies. Wow.
Log. Not a bad card.
Rolling. Yeah, it's rolling. It's rolling.
People are saying, "Oh, I'm really upset. I pulled the log. It's the worst card." It may or may not be.
Yeah.
But what you really need to do is test out a lot of different archetypes and figure out where does it fit.
And exactly like you said. Even if you innovate a ton, at one point Supercell might be like, buff. And then you're wow, great. Now I have this log. Wow. That was a fun game.
That was awesome.
That was a fun game.
Well, okay, so Rob Stark has won game 1. The downside is that we do not get to see that Expo deck again unless he wins the whole thing and moves into the
it is eliminated.
Semis. So we'll go into game 2. He's got to switch to his other deck.
Which looked a lot more normal.
All right. Yeah, that's right. We remember the trifecta deck with the mini P.E.K.K.A substitute.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's see here. Trifecta. Let's put the Hog up there. Hog has been really. I mean,
this has come back with a vengeance. Is it Royal Giant's turn next? We haven't seen Royal Giant in 2 months. Next week is it the Royal Giant innovation? Royal Giant log, buddy. I'm telling you.
Oh God!
Keep the barbs off your giant.
That's the new thing. All right, let's throw the Inferno Tower here. Let's throw the Inferno Tower here just because we have it.
Sure.
We have it.
Gotta show it off.
Yep. All right.
So I think the key here, really, the Inferno Tower stops Hogs dead in the water, but it's also going to be pretty good against those mini P.E.K.K.As, the Valkyrie, and the mini P.E.K.K.A. of CMC Hugh is also going to be good against Rob Stark's Hog. So I think Rob Stark's going to be really smart about using his poisons, because if he can catch, for example, Inferno Tower, Ice Wizard, and Guards in a poison, that's a great poison, right? That's a really good value that can help you push through damage. But I can see a lot of situations where a lot of these little individual pushes are just constantly countered.
Yep, absolutely. I think for CMC Hugh, right, obviously, okay, so there's a few things that we can talk about here while we start the match about kind of deck picking in Conquest or double deck format, really. And CMC Hugh on the back foot, swapping his decks. Now, CMC Hugh didn't have to. He could have stayed.
That's a good point. He could have stayed there.
He could have stayed on his 3 Musketeers. This means that CMC Hugh identifies that this is kind of the deck that he would be more comfortable with. I don't know if he knows what Rob Stark is running, if he knows Rob Stark is running the 4-part trifecta thing.
You might know. I think CMC Hugh's a really smart player.
Yeah.
Anyone who's in big guild like that, you get used to scouting the field, watching the other games, seeing who else is what. He may have, for example, watched. Oh no, we're in the top 8 round, so he didn't have any earlier games to watch.
Yeah. So the big thing too is, let's just think about the best case situation for Hugh. If he ends up beating Rob Stark with this particular deck, Rob Stark has to run Trifecta again, but this time CMC Hugh is going to be running Triple Musketeer. Now, so far, Poison is a big card that he'll use, but it's no Fireball, right? And it's not Lightning either.
Actually, Poison decks are what 3 Musketeer decks prey on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Poison will kill 3 Musketeers eventually, but how many shots off do they get before then? That's a lot.
Exactly. And the fact that it's split push, Poison only activates on one area.
Right.
Right?
And that's part of the reason why they split it so much. Is that, oh no, Guards are not great against Valkyrie there. That must have just been like the best of what's around in terms of your options.
I think it ended up working out, especially because the Ice Spirit was there. It froze the guards in this kind of triangle position, and the Musketeer hit the tip of the triangle and wasn't able to splash the rest of it.
Yeah, it was really good placement by CMC, I'll give you that.
Yeah. And so it prevented the Valkyrie from really getting very far. Oh,
here we go. We talk about the...
It's tagged onto the mini P.E.K.K.A., which I think is actually kind of what CMC Hugh wanted, because he really, mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to go for the tower.
Because you see it keeps coming back.
Absolutely.
What you don't want is the full health mini P.E.K.K.A. 3 squares from your tower.
Yep. But the big thing that we mentioned and that we identified is the cycling for Rob Stark, is the constant Hog Rider pushes. Is CMC Hugh going to be able to keep up with this 5 elixir Inferno Tower defense every single time?
So far, I think CMC has had really crazy good defense with this deck so far. I mean,
nice poison.
He's even that last push where he was able to separate the Hog from the mini P.E.K.K.A. and then stifle that stuff with the Guards shows a lot of foresight on defense, which is probably more important than offensive skill, to be honest.
Yeah, right now in this match, I definitely think so.
That Ice Spirit just lost that mini P.E.K.K.A. altogether.
Yep.
Rob Stark's pushing in, but that poison there holding everything at the river is really weakened and slowed most of that attack.
Defensive poison, yep.
And they're still in a poison.
Nice. The mini P.E.K.K.A. is actually going to be guarded for. Let's see. Is there going to be a zap?
Oh, the Ice Spirit got chopped up, actually.
Yeah.
Didn't get a shot off.
It soaked the shot, and that Miner gets free range, so 400 damage.
I don't know if you need to defend this. Oh, he has nothing else to play. I got it.
Yeah.
As he has a 10 elixir and had to cast something.
Yeah. All right, Miner pops up.
And I like that I feel like CMC Hugh got the impression that he was ahead.
Yeah.
And really tried to leverage that by pushing all in with everything, knowing that, okay, you can't defend with both Inferno Tower and, really anything else.
Yeah.
Though Rob Stark did a great job. I mean, he's taking damage, but it's hard to not take damage from a Miner.
Absolutely.
I think the important thing, though, is that CMC's been able to get ahead with 2 collectors because he was able to poison on a reasonable... remember he poisoned, there was a collector up in the top left and the Musketeer walked by.
Oh no, what happened?
The King Tower!
And again, we see. So, but the thing is, CMC Hugh, I think has done a justifiable amount of damage that it's going to hurt him, but there's still definitely a win. It's not like level 99's case.
The King Tower is going to help, but... You still have to... I mean, 600 damage isn't that much. The King Tower's only going to get a couple shots in terms of an attack that would reasonably do 600 plus damage.
And here we look at it. I mean, we're looking at it.
This could be it. The King Tower's not helping there, though, so it doesn't shoot that far up into the center. Yeah. But you can see, even just holding them there on with the defensive poisons is so good.
Yeah.
Or the offensive poisons, I mean.
You have a low health Valkyrie and a Musketeer that's not going to do any damage. How are you going to play your Hog Rider in this situation? Oh, wow. He's actually just up. He done...
Just going for it, Just try to sneak the damage in, and there it is.
One shovel slap. CMC Hugh brings it back after losing to the crossbow deck.
So now you're right. It's going to be Rob Stark's trifecta with no cannon.
Yep, against Three Musketeers.
Against the Three Musketeer deck that we saw in Game 1.
So how are we? So how is CMC-Hugh? I think CMC-Hugh is in a much better spot with this Three Musketeer deck than he was against the Siege deck. There is. What do? You know, Ice Spirit, Zap Ice Spirit, or Ice Spirit Valkyrie, or, you know, any combination of that is a really great card to use against Three Musketeers. So if you think about it, right, Three Musketeers is 9 elixir. If you use Zap, Ice Spirit, Valkyrie, even those 3 cards are still less elixir than the Three Musketeers.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely, let's see. I think another thing that's going to hurt is that I always favor the Elixir Collector player because it allows Rob Stark to, you know, if you want to go, all right, Three Musketeers behind my King Tower, I can go Elixir Collector, and by the time your stuff all comes across, I'll have gotten some of the Elixir back, and in a long-term status, I have this ability to not only force your miner where I think it's going to go so you can never use it on offense, but it allows them to build up these Elixir advantages where eventually they can just start throwing extra hogs onto towers, and you may not have a way to deal with them.
Yeah.
Although CMC does have a lot of good answers to hog. I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Fire Spirits, and Barbs. And Ice Spirit.
Just a lot of... I have to be honest, I don't really know how this interaction is going to play out.
Oh, should probably switch the...
Oh, yep. We've got on blue...
I need to make... This week, I'm going to make Valkyrie and Guards.
Yeah, definitely.
Guards need to get to be... really need one of these featured cards. They're being played more than half these other ones.
Let's take a look. Okay, so we already have it. Let's just do Collector, right? Because Collector is going to be a very key part for Rob Stark.
And then let's get them Three Musketeers up.
Yep. Three Musketeers.
Too proud, too happy about these cards.
All right.
When are we going to get 7 Musketeers out?
7 Musketeers. Let's do it, Hugh. Let's do it. All right.
Rob Stark. All right. So who's going to open? He's got the Elixir Collector in his opening hand, right? He's got what he wanted to open with. Now let's see if he can play it and then immediately defend it against what I presume to be an incoming miner.
So he has to. So the good thing about that multi-card kind of like Zap, Ice Spirit, Valkyrie thing is against a split, you know that you have like, you can, for example...
Hold it back. Look at that. Great predictive miner.
And the Valkyrie alone on the other side.
Wow, the Fire Spirit, though, blew up the Ice Spirit.
So an interesting interaction. Valkyrie into 3 of the Musketeers is really bad because the 3 Musketeers kill it really quick. Valkyrie into 2 Musketeers, the Valkyrie comes out on top.
Yeah. Yep.
So splitting can actually really hurt in that sense.
That was something that the Three Musketeers deck took a big advantage of last week, is that there's only the one trifecta deck, but there hasn't been a lot of trifecta in general in the top 8, and that the lack of Valkyrie, because Valkyrie's not seen in a lot of other archetypes, allows this to shine.
So I wonder, CMC-Hugh just noticed or just realized that Rob Stark played his poison. I wonder if this is the time before Double Elixir and Double Elixir Collector and all that stuff kicks in to try to play Three Musketeers on one side and capitalize on the fact that poison is gone. You know what I mean?
I think as long as there's Valkyrie, you can't still.
Yeah,
I mean, Valkyrie
it's
plus
difficult.
Zap is gonna...
Valkyrie plus a different card makes it very, very hard to justify.
Yeah, you're adding 3 more Elixir onto your push.
Okay, well,
another 1 or 2.
The miner tagged onto Rob Stark's Elixir Collector, so he's going to be going down to 0 Elixir Collectors really quick. But that Hog Rider makes a big appearance, and Zap plus Mini P.E.K.K.A. Oh my god, this is a big opening for Rob Stark.
That's a full health Musketeer behind it. Even with the Ice Spirit, it should come out and do a little bit of damage at the end. Yeah.
Nice.
Pretty great for Rob Stark there.
Yeah.
Pulled ahead in the game. Doesn't have an Elixir Collector out, though. Unfortunately, it's like it wasn't able to do the damage while maintaining the Elixir Collector advantage.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. They're both saying good game. Maybe it's just good game so far.
Yes. The rules of the duel.
Oh man, those commercials are great. I can't wait to see them on TV. What was your favorite of the official TV commercials?
I liked the theme song because there was the most kind of like
action to it, a lot of catchy.
Yeah.
I will say that I liked the trophy one because they were able to work in the crying emote into the.
Oh yeah. Yep, and they were collecting the tears. Oh, nice! Ice Spirit actually stops a lot.
Not any damage in there. Unfortunately, that Mini P.E.K.K.A is like. Yeah, it will eventually kill all those barbarians, but standing in front of the tower like that is...
Right now, I think Rob Stark is happy with that outcome, though, because...
I think Rob Stark's going to drop his Valkyrie, the most high value...
Oh, no, it's going to lose!
And he predicted it with the... that's why the Fire Spirits were there to kind of turn that trade around.
Yeah, it's bad. This is really bad. He needed to commit Zap or Ice Spirit to that.
Great Ice Spirit, though, to kind of retain it. But with only 9 seconds left...
Oh, you got to defend this! Oh, no!
Because the Zap now can come in and take it down. That's it. Zap takes the game with 1 second.
Man!
CMC who steals game 3.
Talk about I feel like if Rob Stark was a more refined tournament player, he would have navigated the way to win that game. I think this was not a case of checkmate. It was a case of Rob Stark dropping the win condition.
CMC had that great play there where he purposely put the two Musketeers and the Princess together, being like, he's going to Valkyrie this. And then right before the Valkyrie came out, drops the Fire Spirits that, just like you said, completely converted that from a good trade to a bad trade and ends up pulling ahead. That is awesome. Hey, you know what's a kind of a... we're going to move on to the top 4 right after this, but I just want to call out kind of a little bummer, but maybe some excitement for next week, is that we only really record the top 8 decks of the top 4 players, right? So the top 4 players, 2 decks each. When I make my posts on Reddit, it's really just going to cover these top 4. But this week, more than any week I can remember, we saw 2 really innovative decks in the top 8 round. We saw Baka Lowell's Triple Charger deck, and then we saw Rob Stark's Expo deck that, won, actually. The Expo deck wasn't what kept Rob Stark out of the top 4. So tune in. All of these top 8 matches are going to go on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, Super Magical Cup, one word. We put up 1 match per day. All the top 8 matches each week. So Rob Stark, you're going on YouTube. Baka Lowell, you're going on YouTube. More people will get to see your cool deck building and your innovations onto these neat themes. I really hope to see those sorts of archetypes in the top 4 in future weeks, because it shows how diverse the tournament meta really is. I think it's so much more diverse than the ladder meta, and I'd love to see more of that in the future.
Absolutely. All right, so we have our top 4 settled, and you can see them on stream right now. The bracket shows that Marcus is up against Zadian, and Hugh will be up against ESL Yo. So let's go ahead and go to the top side and get this started. Top 4 now of the Super Magical Cup, Marcus versus Zadian. And we're already kind of familiar with these decks, so Marcus is going to be running a pretty typical Giant Poison, while Zadian is going to be running the Minor Hog weird double.
It's like Minor Hog. I'm calling it like Minor Hog Cycle.
Yeah.
If you replaced Minor with any other card, you would call this a Hog Cycle deck, right? Like if you just so I think it's really just it's another take on the old classic Hog Cycle. But if you remember, the original Hog Cycle was just Hog Rider, and then people started playing Hog and Mini P.E.K.K.A. And then I think when people started adapting to that deck, it's like, all right, I'm going to push it one further. Now I have Hog, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Minor, right? 3 things constantly coming at you.
My gut feeling is that we should start calling it the Mog Cycle.
Mog Cycle?
Mog Cycle. But maybe...
Mini Mog?
Maybe Square Enix is going to get mad at us. Mog Cycle.
We got Hog Cycle, Giant Poison, for sure. Zadian's other deck, I think, was a Giant Poison as well.
I think so, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this game.
Let's do it. I'm just going to start writing them down game by game. All right. Good opening for Marcus the Elixir Collector in your opening hand. And, of course, with Ice Spirit, or Ice Wizard and Guards, you're not afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
You can easily defend that Collector against some sneaky miners.
Princess coming across the tower. Okay, Hog Rider plus Minor, and we've always seen...
Great placement there, because I think my first reaction would have been to play the Mini P.E.K.K.A to defend from the Minor, but that would have let the Hog Rider get through and do a bunch more damage.
Yeah, really good point.
Look at those guards. Worth a few damage on their own.
So Marcus gets away with an Elixir Collector, and he has very healthy towers.
Right. Ooh. Mini P.E.K.K.A is so good.
Yeah, Mini P.E.K.K.A really is. Oh my god. It actually, I didn't actually expect that to survive.
Really, the tower did, but
yeah.
worthwhile.
And a second Collector. What are you going to do now?
Zadian's going to quickly find himself in bad shape because he had to actually cycle to get back to that Minor.
Guard it. Oh no!
Great placement by Zadian.
Do you know if playing the guards at the top left corner covers both spots? Does he have to play on the left side or the top side?
I'm not sure. It's a good question.
So I feel like almost in every case you should just be hovering that corner and just throw it down the instant you see the Minor pop up. Because I actually think it's worth 400 damage to make sure you get into double Elixir Collector.
Maybe a little too late, but that Musketeer would have been played at the river. Probably would have shot the cannon and not been all bunched up there.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, like a lot of great damage. The Ice Wizard was actually taking the tanking afterwards, so that low health Musketeer did a lot of damage. I mean, it shot a cannon up.
Definitely paid for itself.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus gets away with a lot of damage, but gives up his Elixir Collector position.
Let that happen? Yeah, I think he's going to rather reinvest into more Elixir.
Yeah.
Ice Wizard is just such a, not a bad, I mean, it's not terrible, right? But it just doesn't do any damage, right? It only does about 45 damage a shot or 40 damage a shot or something like that. That you can let it tick up a few before you really care.
It's definitely a card. Oh, no. It's definitely a card that becomes infinitely better with things behind it.
Right. Speaking of things behind it, this mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to hide behind this giant.
Ooh, nice.
And potentially cause some real big trouble.
Oh, no.
Guards.
Nice zap, though. Musketeer plus a zap.
And I like that Musketeer placement, too, because he's just really safe. Like, it's going to end up killing that Ice Wizard, too, before ever crossing the river. And it's a way to really maximize the value of some of these cards without having them take tower shots from your opponent.
Yeah. Good poison, too, on the Princess. Zap is needed to stop the Musketeer from doing a big amount of damage.
But you can see how important mini P.E.K.K.A. is when you don't have cannon. Like, you take one tower swing, you take one hog swing every time you defend with the mini P.E.K.K.A., but your counterattack is much better. You force them to have to use their guards and whatnot.
So moving into overtime, Marcus finds himself with a well-defended Elixir Collector, and in double Elixir Collector phase, you don't necessarily need to feel a pressure to get two out at the same time. You could.
Exactly tied, too. 863 to 862 in terms of tower damage.
Yeah, yeah. But I think this is going to start hurting Zadian just a little bit. We'll see. It all comes down to how Marcus can manipulate the card cycle so that the giant is on the advantage against the cannon.
And the Princess gets to avoid the poison that time, which is, I think, probably one of the best ways that Marcus could use a poison and get value out of it. Oh, no, this Hog Rider is going to come up. The mini P.E.K.K.A. is behind, a little too far away. It gets one swing, which is very fortunate. That easily could have been two swings.
Yeah,
if
two
that zap
would be
was even
fatal.
off by a little bit. That Princess, so we talked about the poisoning the Princess. Look how much damage that Princess did. She pretty much killed that Musketeer by herself.
Yeah, the fact that the Musketeer is down is really, really the big tragedy of this push. Big difference if the Musketeer was surviving with a sliver of health.
And once again, like because the Princess is off cycle, he's got to go a long way to get back to it, and that Princess can just sit there.
Momentum has shifted to Zadian's side, and let's see what the defense is. The mini P.E.K.K.A. is good, but the second part of the attack is really the important one when the Hog Rider is going to be coming in. And because the Hog Rider is fast and the Giant is slow, the Hog Rider could very well kill the tower before the Giant even reaches Zadian's side. We'll have to see.
And once again, that poison came out, but the Princess can come up right now.
Oh, no!
Oh, an unanswered
Zap.
miner.
That actually might take down the tower if he zaps the miner. Or, yeah, he
does.
zaps
He
the
needs
tower.
one more swing.
Oh, my God.
Does he have a zap up? He just used his zap already, so he's trying to cycle back as soon as he can. He's putting up his defensive cards. One poison will kill him, but Marcus can't get to his poison in time and certainly can't wait the 10 seconds to do so. Here comes a miner and takes it down.
Oh,
Zadian steals game one. But really, Marcus just kind of let that one go.
Yeah.
I think when you get down to only 500 or so health, you know, when you have full health towers, I'm much more willing to be like, you know what, I'll take 300, right?
Yeah.
I've got some money to play with here. I can let it go.
Yeah.
But you don't really have hit points to play with when you have 500 or less hit points. And I think Marcus made kind of a fatal error there, not always having something in his pocket ready to deal with the miner.
It becomes all the more important. Even though double elixir means you gain back elixir quick, you need to make sure you're spending your elixir smartly because your towers are at such low health. You almost always need to make a dramatic response to anything that comes across because you don't want to take any chip. So, Marcus down one, Zadian up. Zadian has to use the alternate deck. Am I looking at this right?
Zadian switched to his giant poison, yeah. He had the minor
Oh, yeah,
hog.
yeah, the hog.
He had the minor hog cycle. So he kept...
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, his other deck didn't play poison, I don't think. You can take a look. You can take a look at the other...
Let's take a look.
We're taking a look at deck lists real quick to make sure we got the right ones.
Let's not commit another Zadian, right?
No, he didn't have poison, so...
He didn't have poison. He had zap.
Is there cannon in both decks? I don't think there's cannon in both.
1, 2. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. He doesn't have his minor.
Yeah, there's definitely...
Yeah, it's these four. 1, 2, 3, 4. He didn't have guards. That's interesting.
Yeah,
no, he did.
Hold on 1 second. I'm counting my hands. Mini P.E.K.K.A., guards, cannon, zap, and then Princess and Ice Wizard. Hold on.
Okay, so he definitely has 1, 2, 3, 4. He has these 4 for sure.
There's also zap. Or go back.
Yeah.
I'm counting.
He has these 4 for sure. Okay, so he didn't have Musketeer. That's the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. He didn't have Musketeer. So
check Collector and Poison. Collector and Poison are the only two I care about. I think I've checked, but no Poison to Collector. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, wow, they just look really similar.
Yeah, they look really, really similar.
Zadian plays every week. I don't know why he would have illegal decks. We were checking to make sure that Zadian didn't have illegal deck lists. Your 2 decks have to be at least 4 cards apart, and we were just like going crazy trying to make sure it was the same. But no, totally legal deck. I don't know why. We're okay. The only reason we're a little weird about it this week is because we're a little low on admins.
Yeah.
We have the people who run the Super Magic Cup also run another bigger event, and almost everyone is on the other large event right now.
Yep.
Which has 51,000 viewers at this moment. Yeah. Woohoo! Wow, man. Super Magical Cup will be there one day. Our new set is only a few weeks away from being complete.
Yes. Very excited for that.
Back to the games.
Let's see. Marcus 35. Giant Poison is his alternate deck.
He's stuck
with
Giant Poison deck.
With it.
Zadian switches to his Giant Poison deck after winning with Mini Hog.
Yep.
In the first one.
So let's look at the Clash of the Giants. So let's change this up to the other part. I think the Musketeer is the other big damage dealer.
I think Musketeer has really shown her muscle this week. I mean, most of these giant pushes aren't really... The giant never even gets to the tower. It dies just a little short as popping Musketeers the whole time.
Mm-hmm. All right. There is the Miner to punish collectors on Zadian's side, so that's going to be a big boon to M.
Double Miner in both of Zadian's decks. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Giant Miner. They just took the two popular cards of each of the decks in the meta and just mashed them together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Giant is just so hard to deal. And the funny is, I don't actually think Giant is overpowered particularly. I just think that the other tanks aren't as powered, right? Like, I think
the efficiency of the Giant just justifies it.
Like, if they nerf the Giant, I hope it's very small, maybe like 3%. Like it doesn't need a lot of hit point nerfs or anything like that. But what it really needs is P.E.K.K.A. needs a buff and Golem needs a buff to make it so that there's other alternatives. Because right now, I just think that those other cards aren't really alternatives to Giant.
Yeah.
Not the Giant.
It's a very similar, but not exactly the same. I think it's a very similar situation with a cannon, right? Just the fact that it costs so much less elixir, like the Giant costs so much less elixir than the other tanks, like really kind of justifies itself in terms of its function.
And Mini P.E.K.K.A. too. I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A. is seen in so many decks, but I don't think Mini P.E.K.K.A. is particularly unbalanced. I just think that is the only tough, high damage melee attacker that's not vulnerable to spells, right?
Yeah.
So if there was, if Lumberjack, for example, did a similar amount of damage, I think you'd see people splitting between Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Lumberjack, but not that Mini P.E.K.K.A. is inherently broken or anything.
Yeah.
Because we see how easy it is to stop it. I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A.s get stopped all the time on offense.
Yeah. Nice defense with the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Ooh, interesting. So they're going to opt to kind of race DPSing down the Giant.
Right.
You can see how much that poison does to slow down the attack speed. And now there's a full health Musketeer.
Who lives? Yeah.
1, 2.
Oh,
I thought it was going to be 3. I thought it was going to be 3
as well.
Yeah.
With Ice Spirit, we saw that it tends to be like more like 3 shots.
Yeah.
Because the Ice Spirit doesn't do that much damage.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Wow, Marcus is pretty good. He's pretty good at doing that. Yeah.
Knew where that was going.
Yeah. Got him.
There's a little bit of gamesmanship there, too, because it's never like, what's the best place to put it? It's what does my opponent think the best place is to put it, and then I go around it. Yeah. So a good call by Marcus being like, all right, I'm going to put it on the far side, because he's not going to go to the close side. That's where he thinks I would go.
Absolutely. Double Giant.
Was able to cycle pretty quickly through it here with double elixir, but you can see how the double Giant really just set up 10 elixir worth of stuff to die, and this counter push is looking pretty scary.
Yeah, the thing about Double Giant is you need to make sure that you can't just play Double Giant by cycling straight to the Giant and playing it. You need to make sure that you have enough supporting units behind it to make it scary. Oh no! Oh my god, but there's still so much damage from the Musketeers.
Those Musketeers are still that low health Musketeer, and there's the poison taking it with 1 second left.
Oh,
Marcus is going to take this one
down. Marcus does it!
Brings it back 1-1. Pretty great.
Brings it back 1-1. The superior Giant Poisoner.
And I think, Zadian's big mistake there was, I get it, like the double Giant is normally the really good way to do the push, but when both players had been building up these attacks, because you're defending against Miner, right? So like, you play Miner, I already have defensive cards against Miner, then the Giant push is coming across, well I get to parlay my Miner defense into push defense into a counterattack. If you're not going to clear out that stuff that's killing your Miner and Giant, you can't just let it build up, because then your counter push is going to be lethal.
Hog Riders are everywhere. And actually, now that we mentioned it, we was it Darth Jar Jar, or who was it in your Reddit write-up that was talking about, I made it without any legendaries.
That's true. That's right.
And I wonder, I'm going to go back and check Marcus's other deck. I don't think he had
That's right. Last week, the first Zadian.
Yeah? Oh, no, he has the Ice Wizard.
That's fine. But even then, I was really happy to see last week Darth Jar Jar make the top 4 with no legendaries in either of his 2 decks, because the week prior to that, the second Invitational, the top 8 decks averaged over 2 legendaries per deck. We had 17 legendaries and 8 deck lists. It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to see, sort of like how you were saying earlier, just good, common, rare, honest, hard-working, blue-collar decks come back into the field. Although we are seeing a whole lot of minor, so let's not.
We'll see. All right, Marcus 35, trifecta.
Right.
Pretty simple, clean-cut trifecta. No mini P.E.K.K.A. Zadian, again with his giant poison. Let's just see how these butt heads.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, I set up the... or we can keep those, I guess.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. Giant minor is just so... It's such a solid, you have your bases covered, right, with those 2 cards. Kind of like, between minor, poison, you're kind of playing the elixir game. Between giant, minor, you're playing kind of the tanky game. And then your supporting units are just helping bring the damage. Okay.
Uh-oh. That cannon's not so high. Actually, pretty good. It does take 2 shots, and the Musketeer was able to clean up both.
So I think it's very fortunate for Marcus that Zadian doesn't quite have a giant in cycle.
Yeah.
If
good point.
If he saw that cannon, it got chopped away like a P.E.K.K.A, time to play my giant, and then you're screwed, Very tough, the opening
Interesting
hands.
to point out that those guards did more damage than the hog.
Yeah.
People are ready for hog riders. They sell the farm, but a lot of times you'll let things like minions or guards, whatever, I'm not going to do anything about that. And they can end up doing a pretty good amount of damage, especially for their 3 cost, right? It's not a very expensive card.
I honestly believe that around 500 damage, 400 to 500 damage is a point in time where you kind of say that hurt, So a hog rider, for example, a mini P.E.K.K.A, a single swing, you would be pretty happy about a single swing with a mini P.E.K.K.A, right? Yeah. With a hog rider, I think 2 swings is pretty okay, I can buy that, right? But a single swing on a hog rider, especially early game, is kind of
my rule of thumb is kind of 200 damage per elixir cost is kind of your, and what the difference is. So if I spend 6 and they spend 4, then I need to do about 400 damage to be that's worthwhile. If you think about it, that those hog zaps over a mini P.E.K.K.A or whatever do 1 swing, maybe 2 swings. Well, that's only 500 damage for your 6 to 4.
Yeah.
It's a little, that can be good if it's 2 swings. If it's 1 swing, it's under the threshold. So if you get nothing but 1 swings, not worth it. If you get 2 swings every time, worth it.
Yeah. Interesting how that dynamic will change. It just feels a lot different once you see your hog get 2 swings. I can live with that.
And by that threshold, every spell is not worth it, which makes sense, right? Because you think about it, rocketing a tower is never worth it unless it's the killing of the tower.
Absolutely. And obviously that dynamic changes in the late game. Right. Nice.
I like that, being able to get both the Musketeer and it's a near dead collector, but
Yeah, and take a look, 2 swings on that hog rider, and that puts Marcus in this really good mid game situation. Kind of only needs a few more plays to put that tower into poison range.
Oh, so here's what I'm talking about. Oh wow, the miner actually might kill the Musketeer. It does.
And the zap,
is that worth? I don't know, 5 to 4 though. Maybe that's worth it. I think so.
I think maybe he should have not spent the zap.
Yeah.
I think just let it.
But if the Musketeer dies with a sliver of health, you're in big trouble.
That's true.
Of course, you can zap later.
Yeah. A second miner this time. This time it actually connects, and there's a giant right next to the tower. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, that Musketeer wins. Oh, nice. I like the hog to distract because I think she knew that she was in trouble. Yeah. And the Ice Spirit survives. Oh no.
Oh my. That was so close.
That was close to being big time troll. That would have been a few swings.
Okay, Marcus has about 8 elixir to defend. I
don't like the Valkyrie against the mini P.E.K.K.A. That seems bad shape. Ice Spirit will help buy a little time. But that thing's going to come out, and nothing's really done damage to it because everything's locked onto the giant.
Oh my god! Play your Musketeer right next to the miner. Sacrifice half the Musketeer's health. I don't care, but just make sure your tower doesn't take any more damage.
Got to defend those towers. So Marcus, or Zadian, pulls it out there with some excellent miner play. I really liked how he was able to cycle that miner very, very quickly.
Yeah, he was constantly putting pressure on. It was a big theme.
So that is, trifecta, giant poison, miner hog. All right, let's go to the other, yeah, congratulations to Zadian for making not just I think the first or second top 8, but definitely the first finals for Zadian. So crushing through another big Reddit member, pushing through week after week.
Let's see who will step up to challenge them. Zadian has been playing pretty well. ESL Yo and Hugh I think are two interesting players to me right now. I think that so ESL Yo is running Giant Poison Prince, right? Which is a very interesting. I think he's convinced me a little bit more, but I want to see how it interacts against different players of different play styles and slightly different decks. I think CMC Hugh has been playing solid defense. And I think defense is everything against the Prince. Right?
Yeah, I think, especially if you even look at the minor control deck that he's playing right now, most of the minor control decks we see either run Collector with a cheap tower, or no Collector and just use Inferno Tower. This one uses both Collector and Inferno Tower, so it's really going hard on the defense, and I guess just relying on the minors and poisons to drag it out over the course of the game.
Yeah. Let's take a look at how these decks. Well, actually, let's swap the cards first. So for blue, let's put the Prince up there. We like his mustache and grin.
Oh yeah, buddy. A little soul patch.
And for you, let's put up. Oh man, I wish we had guards. Because they're definitely going to be the hero of the match.
Yeah, guards stopping both Princes and mini P.E.K.K.A.s on the opposing side is going to be nuts. Like, I'm actually not sure how some of these things from ESL Yo are going to get through, because Inferno Tower with guards in front is just like, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, every push.
Again, why minions are so good. I mean, just so many of these interactions really make me understand, like, there's a big reason why minions are in the meta. Whether people realize it or not, they just not zappable, good at handling Inferno Towers, good at handling guards, good at handling chumpy units.
And decks, as much as you might want to, you can never give up on the air stuff, right? Like, there's a lot of decks that the most I see is that people try to cheap out with just Zap, and they don't have a lot of other things that deal with air units. Maybe like Zap and a Musketeer or whatever.
Here it comes. There's a Zap, and there's a mini P.E.K.K.A.
The meta is always going to be vulnerable at some point to decks that are all air if people get too lazy on their air defense.
Yep. Ooh.
One hit. That's good. Speaking of, that's worth the 4 elixir.
Yeah, yep. All right. He's got Collector Giant in the back, so he's going to be building up a big push. But again, the question...
just let this go. Oh, here we go. I think this might be the first time that ESL's goes, oh, he's got an Inferno Tower.
Yep. And the Ice... Oh, my
God.
the
pump up. Just abandon the push. Let it go.
Yep, I agree.
Kill the Ice Wizard.
Totally respect that decision.
5 for 5.
Guards surrounding the Musketeer, maybe? No, he's just going to let it rock.
Yep.
I like that.
If you can pump up and prevent them from pumping up...
Yep.
Seems reasonable.
Especially he doesn't want to push through the Inferno. Yep.
Yeah, we're not going to get through it in single elixir time either. You know what I mean? Like, you're just going to be stuck.
Let's see. Okay, guards on the way back.
Oh, I like the guards up front, though. Hopefully they can trade a little bit.
There's still going to be a big zap opportunity for CMC Hugh if he so wishes.
Good ESL, I think, already sees a very...
It's a tough run.
End to his offense.
It's a very tough run.
It's weird because neither side is... Well, actually... ESL Yo is definitely playing the more offensively capable deck, but if you can't get through this incredible defense deck, then you know you're just going deep into overtime.
Yeah.
And deep into overtime is always going to favor these sort of poisons. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Minor decks, but then again, I don't know, we have a free, look at this, free 14 elixir push coming down, 17 elixir push.
Wow.
Yeah, 19 elixir. 24. 23.
It's just going up and up.
27.
Meanwhile, the Inferno Tower is just sitting there.
That's actually a really good point here, but look at this. That was just 27 elixir committed over the course of however long, and you did 300 damage. It's tough. I don't know how much more of a big push ESL needs to put together. We had 2 pumps out.
Yeah.
It's double elixir time.
2 pumps, double elixir time, and the Inferno Tower poison combination was still chewing through it.
You know what might be the key is to put and obviously it's a little too late for this now, but maybe the next time you make a push, is put a giant behind your king tower, but then build up your push so that you put the second giant on the other side and have 2 giant pushes happening at once.
Yeah, some kind of element of split. I mean, in that last push, the Musketeer actually got a lot of damage on the right side tower. It's actually a clean Musketeer.
Yeah. It's hard to split push because split pushing basically invites another tower to chip in. Like right now, the right tower is not attacking, but if you were to split push, it would be attacking all the time. But I just, between the splash damage of Ice Wizard and Zap and stuff, and of course guards, poison, I don't think you're going to be able to bundle up any sort of big push into either lane against this deck.
He was making a gamble saying, I know you're not going to commit to this right side tower, and I want to extend my elixir advantage as efficiently as I can. I'm going to play the third one without waiting, right? And he's trying to avoid poison locations also.
It's not the exact timing, I think.
That's actually pretty good because of Zap.
Saved the Musketeer.
And low health Musketeers are still high value.
Yeah,
a second Prince after the first one fell, but he still has to chew through so many of the guards.
Double Ice Wizard.
Oh, your charge is so slow, buddy. Oh, he didn't even get it.
Between the poison and the double Ice Wizard, that's like, I don't know if 2 Ice Wizards stack, I don't think they do, but I do know poison and Ice Wizard stack, and that's about a 50% slow.
Oh, wow.
It's brutal. It's 35 and 15.
Nice. These guards are actually really high value. Really, really high value guards.
Oh no.
Gotta defend.
You can see that even just this little bit of damage. Oh, this mini P.E.K.K.A. might actually get there.
Oh.
Woohoo, that mini P.E.K.K.A.'s.
A lot of pressure onto ESL's side, but he's got to slowly be trying to gain back the elixir advantage defending all of this stuff because he needs to push over to the opponent's side. But how is he going to do that? The miner can constantly barrel down his lane, cause him to play back.
Are counterattacking really well too, and of course you can't play your guards on defense into poison.
Yeah.
These get chopped up.
No.
Wow, this might be it. The poison has
it's in zap range.
Oh, is it in zap? It is in zap range. You're right, or just minor. Here minor for CFCU.
CMC Hugh
grinds it out.
Yeah.
Pure defense and some inevitability there. The funny thing is that if ESL Yo was playing a more defensive deck, that could have theoretically been a draw. There's only a minute left in the game.
Yeah.
Like so CMC Hugh going pure grind him out defense. But now, that's wins game 1.
Yeah.
But now has to switch decks. So CMC switches over to
the triple Musketeer Barbie.
Yeah, buddy, I like this 3 Musketeer control deck, and but ESL sticks with the giant poison. Sticking with that Prince.
Barbarian split.
Right now.
If they ever made a Supercell Cafe, I would a Barbarian split.
There is a Supercell Cafe in the Supercell offices. Yeah, it's very nice.
We should just show up to San Francisco and just be like, hey, can we eat?
Can we eat here? We're hungry.
Just all the way.
All
right, let's take a look. Prince still exists.
The nice thing for ESL Yo is that since the buff to Prince's damage, Prince is really good against Barbarians now at tournament cap, but we haven't seen a lot of Barbarians.
Yeah.
So at least, if nothing else, we might see ESL Yo get some of those good charges that one-hit Barbarians.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I agree. The split, though, is going to be interesting because you have 2 5-cost cards, and then you have 2 4-cost cards. Are you actually going to be able to spread your defense out enough to handle triple Musketeer plus a Miner plus an Ice Spirit?
Point. No Valkyrie, no Fireball.
Yep, just poison.
But guards are good.
Just poison.
Those things don't shoot that fast.
Yep, guards are great. Oh wow, they chose the
P.E.K.K.A.'s
Playhouse. Yeah, P.E.K.K.A.'s Playhouse.
CMC knows that he's on fire right now.
Yeah, hot fire. Doesn't have an Ice Wizard in his deck, does he? He did previously, right? Yeah. In the last game, he did have Ice Wizard. Okay. That's a start.
Sometimes he had 2 Ice Wizards, though.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Oh. All right, buddy.
And now, see, you can see
there's actually he can only zap.
We're gonna completely wreck this push.
Oh, nice Ice Spirit. Oh, it got taken down. If that Ice Spirit had frozen, I think this would have been a very different push.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. You gotta place it almost further back.
Oh
wow.
No! Oops.
Great job by ESL. I mean, bad play by CMC Hugh. If you were to wait a little bit longer, the goal there was to wait like an extra second, have the Musketeer lock on the tower, and the Princess kill it.
Yeah.
But by coming out even just a half second early, CMC Hugh threw 3 elixir, and you can see that's the difference. He's down 3 elixir now.
Yep. And there's an elixir
that
collector.
gives ESL the opportunity to get a pump out. And if he can defend
Lock
this
it.
pump, really good shape.
Ah!
Cannot. Unfortunately, even with the mini P.E.K.K.A. there defending, about 3 or more pumps come off of that thing for sure.
Yep. All right, but we got a full health mini P.E.K.K.A. Barbarians are going to be a great choice.
I like how he split it up too, gave both the barbs and the
Zap mini P.E.K.K.A.
Wow, mini P.E.K.K.A. clears them all out. Does he get one shot? Does!
Nice.
Wow, that mini P.E.K.K.A.
Yep.
Blue mini P.E.K.K.A. Big winner.
Ice Spirit gets taken down first. Oh, wow. Okay, that Prince. Well, we have seen low health Princes do work.
It has plenty of hit points to make it to the tower, but of course when you defend. Of course, that was 5 elixir on defense against a card that already cost 5 elixir and did its
that
job.
Musketeer got 3 shots.
Yeah.
It's good. ESLio, meanwhile, staying on a perfect, is that right? No, he took a little bit of damage on the right side.
He's taking like zap damages and poison damage on each.
Yeah.
But I like that he didn't let the princess. He opted to take 1 princess shot to the tower, then as opposed to the guards, because it forces you have to answer the guards. Full health guards can do a pretty good amount of damage if you don't answer them.
Here comes the second coming.
Early on the zap.
The second coming of the triple musketeers. Nice. Okay.
Poison's good there because with just zap or guards or anything, that should go down.
Oh, okay. This is the big gamble, though.
Oh, I like that he put the giant up. It's not great, really, but it does. I mean, you much rather would take 3,500 damage on your giant than 3,500 damage on your tower.
Yeah, and I think this musketeer might get damaged. No,
it'll get 1 shot.
1 shot. Nice. Still, though, pretty good defense by ESLio.
That was great defense. I mean, giant. Another reason why we probably see a lot of giant is that at only a cost of 5, unlike the 7 or 8 cost tanks, it's a super reasonable defensive card given that it has 3,500 hit points, right? It's like more than 1,000 more than your tower.
It's very flexible. Okay, so he goes on the single musketeer side. Oh, and the guard's just in time. I think the musketeer is going to aggro onto the giant here. There's a mini P.E.K.K.A. and a musketeer on it.
See the hit points being used very well.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think that's a huge elixir negative trade, but again, like, that giant just absorbed more than 5 elixir worth of pushing, basically.
Yeah. And the mini P.E.K.K.A. got a swing on the tower. What I find funny is the 3 musketeers have been being split closer and closer and closer to the bridge each time.
Can't telegraph them. But look at that, even though
they're gonna get a bunch of shots.
Ooh, about 1,000 right there.
Yeah, and on the left side, he got a few shots on the other musketeer.
Yeah, wow, indeed, ESLio, I agree. Wowzers.
Wow.
Who will Zadian be playing in the finals?
Yeah.
Game 2 of this match.
Is 3 Musketeers going to make a 2-time run to the finals? We'll see. Oh.
Wow.
Will the Musketeer be able to kill it? Ah, no.
But again, that miner's running free. I mean, people are stopping not the miner, they're stopping the other stuff.
It's getting to that point.
Oh, wow.
It's getting to that point, too, where you have to... Oh, okay. This
is not looking good for CMC Hugh right now. Although, great defense there with the mini P.E.K.K.A. Was able to stop the
no. This is really dangerous.
Wait, one more? Uh-oh.
And the poison on top.
Oh, the poison will not finish it off, but it might be really close to it.
It depends on if this prince wins.
There's always zap in the deck, too. Or just another poison. But 600 damage, it is very possible to lose that. Oh,
yep, he's going all in. He's pushing all in.
Up, zap for the win. Woo! Really interesting. Like, we haven't seen a lot of people in the Super Magical Cup do the giant as a meat wall defense that often. You see it every once in a while, maybe against Expo decks, Mortar decks, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
ESLio did that 3 times in a row, and as a very key play in order to push through the win.
Yeah, definitely super important for ESLio to do that, especially when the 3 Musketeers you don't really have a comfortable answer to.
Right.
So let's take a look at
Game 3. Oh, that's right. It's the lightning deck.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I get very scared for 3 Musketeers whenever they have to face lightning.
Yeah, I think Princess might be the closest thing we got. There's no Valkyrie, but another thing is if you split your 2, you split them up 2 and 1. Princess can be placed way back and actually really work those things down before they ever cross the river.
Yeah.
And say minor control. All right, neat. Wow.
All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look.
Pretty narrow field this week, actually. I've seen all top 8 decks. Our top 8, so going into game 3, the top 8 decks are Minor Hog Cycle, 3 Giant Poison decks, 2 Minor Control decks, a 3 Musketeers control deck, and a Trifecta defense control deck. A lot of control decks.
Everybody's trying to play control, and I don't blame them because control is kind of the much more analytical.
Yes. Ooh, oh wow, bad Princess by CMC Hugh. Well, maybe they'll both shoot. Okay, that's fine.
Yep. And he gets the tower damage, so almost the lightning's worth of damage.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, actually nice there because that leaves only 1 guard, and that let the Musketeer get a few more shots in.
Yeah.
ESLio already says good game.
these 2.
They're chatty Cathys. So here's the thing, that miner's going to come in and... Oh, wow!
Oh,
Great
nice.
use there of the Ice Spirit.
Yep.
Even better than a zap against minions. Maybe that's why we don't see a lot of minions.
Yeah. Mignon. Filet mignon. Yum. I'm hungry.
And gets both towers to about the same, actually, yeah, almost exactly the same amount of hit points.
And that's actually okay for the deck that Hugh is playing. It's not the case where it's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah. That's true. One of the big advantages being able to split your deck like this and force the opponent to not know what to do. So let's see. Oh, is he going to drop the 3 Musketeers in the middle, perhaps? Because I think the Musketeers can reach.
I think so. I think so. And we were talking about this, right? If you play Musketeers first.
Well, not used to that.
So definitely in double elixir, that's a possible combination to play.
And look at the Barb just walking right by. That thing was so slow that Barb was able to get it on the one side and do some work.
Yeah, 2 swings for the Barb. Barbs do a lot of damage.
Oink. Oh! Wow!
Oh!
That princess! She's still alive!
Wow. That princess is skilled in the ways of archery.
Wow.
Oh.
We'll kill that one.
Okay,
Zig
yeah.
goes and zaps it.
ESLYO's on really low elixir, about 2 and a bit behind. 60
Almost
seconds.
exactly 3 behind. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
So CMC Hugh's going to
So we're in double elixir now. Let's take note. If in double, okay. Well, never mind. But he's already at 7, so he can definitely put the Barbs in front
Right,
of
which you might
the.
be doing. Yep, it is. So, especially with the mini P.E.K.K.A. as a distraction, pulling it over here to that side. Ooh,
Oh!
Fire Spirit and Ice Spirit caused some real trouble.
Fire
and the zaps on
ice.
the Barb.
Oh my God! The
Barbs are on
Musketeer.
the tower. They take
Oh
it
my
down.
God!
Wow, CMC Hugh with 30 seconds to go.
Oh, but there's a low health minion. It's chewing away at the tower health.
Yeah, look at that. Can ESLYO stop this? I mean, 800 damage. Oh, here comes a pretty big push.
That's a lot of. What happened? How are there so many minions on the table?
Oh, here comes a 1 guard and a princess. Okay, the princess is going to shoot there, unfortunately.
But
wow.
another 400 damage for the miner.
Oh, wait. Lightning.
Oh. Actually, I really don't like that. He could have nabbed some damage on the King Tower.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. 3 Musketeers there in the middle. We talk about one of the big advantages of 3 Musketeers is how good they are at taking a second
my God.
tower.
Oh, my God.
Look at that. That's nuts. And you know what? Big downside, ESLYO, even though he did use lightning to take the tower, he really needed the lightning to defend against a play like that. It didn't have it. CMC Hugh.
He needed to make the
3.
read. He needed to make the read that Triple Musketeer was going to be dropped in the middle and just go for the risk.
Have something there already.
Yeah. Because dropping 3 Musketeers onto aggressive cards is not actually that great. Because 3 Musketeers, their survivability comes with them being able to do damage so quick that you can't swing. But their deploy time means if you get 1 swing, 2 swings, then 3 Musketeers are all of a sudden really close to getting one shot, right?
Being real stinky.
Yeah.
So, wow, actually, awesome top 8 so far. Normally, we have a lot of 2-0 rounds. So far, all but 1 round has been a 3-game match. Pretty awesome. So let's move into the finals.
I believe, let's see. Let's make sure. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I believe this is the first match here.
Okay.
Zadian versus CMC Hugh. Made the run. Hugh has been a player that we've been watching and been like, this guy's a great player.
Yeah, and actually, I would say one of the breakout players of the in-game tournament feature. Because I don't think we knew about CMC Hugh until Royale Tourney Week. Yeah. And then I was watching all these featured Supercell sponsored tournaments, including ours, and CMC Hugh was just like top 10, top 10, top 3, top 5, win, you know what I mean? Was just nothing was stopping him. And here we are, finals of his very first Super Magical Cup.
All right, so we've got that Hog Legendary Cycle.
Yep.
The Mog Cycle.
Very aggressive.
The Mog Cycle, if you will, against the Barbarian Split. Barbarian Triple Musketeer Split. So let's make sure these cards work. But
it's actually red for 3 Musketeers now.
Yep. They like to make our life difficult down there. Red, and then let's throw the Hog in. It's been really popular this week.
Really refreshing meta. It has it's been pretty different from what we've seen in terms of the card choices. Even Lightning again making a top 4 appearance is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Let's see. You know, do you have any initial thoughts on Triple Musketeer against Hog Rider? Because Hog Rider is, Triple Musketeer is expensive investment against Hog Rider's constant pressure that you can put on.
If you were to expect someone to play their Hog soon, you could preemptively split your Musketeers because it forces them off their tempo. If they're like, all right, I know the next thing they want to cast is a Hog. If you can drop your Musketeers in the middle, they kind of can't play their Hog and it pushes them off. They have fewer and fewer cycles per game at that point.
But, oh wow, that double Musketeer is doing a lot of work. The miner.
Look at the Guards and Princess do pretty decent work. Again, though, already over 500 damage on the right tower, which plays right into CMC's plan because he doesn't have to push it and kill it. He can just split, and if you ever ignore it, that side will take a lot more damage.
Man, I can definitely imagine a situation where if CMC Hugh had to cycle a little bit differently, wow, that hog is actually going to get a good amount of damage. The barbarians are not spread out. They don't have the concave, if you want to take from StarCraft terms. They don't have the concave to put out the DPS they need, and the Hog Rider, 1.3k on the left side, that's a good push.
Yes. Just like that, Zadian was able to tie it up with CMC.
Nice.
All right, 2 pretty good health-looking barbs. May not make it there with the princess on them. Maybe 1 swing. Not too bad. Oh wow! But you can see this just zap the princess. Ooh, do a lot though. I mean, they did get some damage on that tower, but that was only 5 elixir to pretty much stop those things. But then again, 2 musketeers is only 6 elixir.
Yeah.
But CMC is really low on elixir right now. You can see Zadian has that elixir advantage. If he would just, he didn't know it, but if Zadian would have just dropped a hog, probably
he would have had to take it.
Probably would have gone really far.
Yeah.
Because CMC just now is able to play barbarians way later.
Okay, okay. He actually does nothing to defend again. I don't know about that. I think that was pretty, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad for CMC Hugh.
I'm not sure what the gameplay there was to take 1,000 damage. I mean, he clearly wants to save elixir back up and get back to his musketeers, but...
Yeah. I mean, and
maybe you could have sacrificed a little elixir, I think.
It might be worth it because you're only just going into double overtime, and maybe CMC Hugh knows, well, if I get the first tower down, I'm almost certainly going to get two towers before the other player, so I'm just going to save up to constantly try to push and make big elixir plays.
Barbs came out a little late and are definitely bunched up like that, really vulnerable to the Ice Wizard.
Oh no,
attacks.
But this might just be enough.
Oh wow, on both sides.
Yeah, how is Zadian supposed to spread out his elixir in this situation, especially when he has 1 slot taken up by a hog? Yeah. That's almost 4 elixir that you're going to pay. I mean, I think the trade to take the left side tower might be the right choice, but again, CMC Hugh puts Zadian in his position where, okay, if you let me take the first tower, I'm going to definitely take your second tower.
Uh-oh, it looks like his left tower might be done for. Oh, it is! The 1 locked onto the cannon, 1 locked onto the tower, and the 1 was able to shoot it down. And actually... it looks like it might take a second tower here. Whoa!
Oh.
Before, we were really looking at that low health tower, wondering like, oh, is this thing going to survive?
Yeah. Wow. Barbarian split working as intended.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, I think that was a big kind of interesting point for this game. With our analysis about like, he took 1,000 damage on his tower. CMC Hugh obviously had a strategy that he was going for.
I need to get those musketeers out. Yeah. He knew that the deck's going to win by casting 12 elixir worth of cards for 9.
Yeah.
So,
So
let it happen. Wow. So game 1 goes to CMC Hugh of the finals.
So the triple musketeer deck is out. There's no more barbarian split.
Sure.
There is.
That's right. You have to. Now CMC Hugh has 2 games, 2 chances. Has to win with this very defensive grind a miner deck. This deck is not putting together offensive pushes against anybody.
Yeah, and we've seen this interaction so many times today. I feel Hog Rider versus Inferno Tower, not the most comfortable, but we haven't seen the classic cycle. You cannot deny that triple legendary Hog cycle is just slower. Right. It just is, but we'll see. There's still that element of Hog Riders playing aggressively. So let's see. Blue has the Hog, and Hugh will have to swap up. And let's... which shall we feature this time? Perhaps the Mini P.E.K.K.A.?
Mini P.E.K.K.A. I mean, we've seen Mini P.E.K.K.A. played so much against Hog Rider. I mean, you see how powerful it is on defense. I mean,
absolutely. The defensive potential of the Mini P.E.K.K.A. is just unrivaled right now. All right, I believe this is our
It trades so well with everything, and there's just very few cards that kill it. Like, what kills a Mini P.E.K.K.A.? Lightning?
Yeah. And it's just like, the biggest way to think about it is that the fact that the Mini P.E.K.K.A. almost, I would say like 90% of the time just gets stopped and doesn't do any damage on the tower, but it still gets played defensively, it says something about its...
What else kills giants? Like, if you were to make a restriction of, I'm not going to play Mini P.E.K.K.A., you would find that stopping these giant pushes are really hard. The only option you really have that does a lot of DPS is barbarians.
Yeah.
But barbarians, they get fireballed, they get poisoned, they get princess zapped, all sorts of things.
All sorts of splash damage, and splash damage just doesn't affect the Mini P.E.K.K.A. And so you get into the situation where it's like, well, if we need high single target damage, I guess I'll play the Mini P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah, what else do you play, right? I think there is an opportunity for the next update to release more high damage cards, even if they're expensive. Like, even if there was a 5 or 6 elixir, like like big tough like barbarian tree man or something like that.
Barbarian tree man.
I don't know, something big and scary that hits
Let's
hard.
see male Supercell after this.
Or even if it had a short range, right? Like a big ranged attacker that only had a range of like 3. It was like not really a melee card, but like pseudo melee.
Yeah.
I think it could arguably see play in Mini P.E.K.K.A.'s spot, just because really Mini P.E.K.K.A.'s there to stop these huge hit point walls.
Yeah. Oh God, this Mini P.E.K.K.A. lives. It's like the Terminator Mini P.E.K.K.A.
Dirt.
Oh no! Why are you not playing cards? What happened?
Saving up that elixir.
Okay. Yep.
He's gonna put the guards in front, maybe? No.
Okay. What's gonna justify him taking that swing? I mean, it is on the left side tower, and it's not a split deck, so maybe he's just identified like, I'll make you decide which way you want to go first.
Took out the collector at least. He did a little bit of damage, but yeah, I agree. As long as guards are in the deck, Mini P.E.K.K.A. is just never gonna get anywhere. They're so cheap, and they're good at counterattacking that playing him isn't even like a liability.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never like, oh well.
Yeah.
You know, even 2 guards make it to the tower.
Yeah.
So even if one dies to the Mini P.E.K.K.A., 2 of them will still get over there.
Yeah.
We're seeing it on both sides. Mini P.E.K.K.A. is no shot.
Yeah.
Oh! I like that.
He played the mind game. He did the sneaky one. That's a dangerous spot. Yeah.
The collector all else too.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guards. Get splashed.
Fast.
Oh, nice. Mini P.E.K.K.A. defended by the guards.
I like if the guards are in front for the Inferno Tower. Oh, not anymore. They were that.
Yep. Man, guards is just definitely the name of the game.
Yeah, this is
in many situations.
This is like Groundhog's Day because both of them are countering with guards and then using the Ice Wizard and Princess to stop the counter push. I'm starting to forget like what time it is, what day it is.
And I'm also pretty sure we've seen a grand total of 0 Hog Riders so far.
Yeah, Zadian might have played 1 or 2, but yeah, I agree.
Oh, here it comes.
Yeah, there's not really.
Here
a
it
good reason
comes.
to play a lot of them.
Maybe a Zap will earn him a second swing, but Mini P.E.K.K.A. is just so great. Oh, okay. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out.
I mean, it seems like it's favoring CMCU because the poison is slowly grinding it down. Zadian's deck doesn't run poison, so he doesn't have the sort of high direct damage that you can eventually get there. Yeah, it takes like 12 poisons to kill you, but whatever, like the game goes long enough. And you have,
you're not getting anywhere, and I am.
This deck is incredible. I mean, like, this is a deck that I think would probably not be very good on the ladder, but is very impressive in tournaments because of the extra 2 minutes of overtime.
Yeah. Oh my God, and we already see now in lethal range for the next poison.
Once again, these Inferno Towers, like, what stops these things?
Okay, but now there's the guards. Oh no, 250, and I'm pretty sure Zap Poison will do it. Here it comes.
1.
That's it.
2. Poison. That's the game.
The
game and the tournament. CMCU takes it home with a very defensive grinder deck, along with, of course, People's Champion 3 Musketeers.
Yeah. Interesting too. I mean, we talk about players who play decks that are of similar playstyle. One that comes to mind is Angry Groceries. And I mean, Woody used to be that kind of player, but now he's playing kind of more of a beatdown almost deck and then a siege deck as an alternative. But a lot of the players will do like Clyde. He plays big bodies, right? Clyde is a big body player. He likes Lava Hound, he likes Giant, he likes all those cards. CMC Hugh plays expensive, direct damage, or rather targeted unit damage troops, and then he plays ticking damage and cheap. He has minor, he has poison, he has all these different like really cheapy damage things, and that's very different than Barbarian 3 Musketeer. Right?
Absolutely.
Very, very different. And he takes the crown. I mean, CMCQ, we've been waiting for the performance.
That's his. I mean, I think if given enough time, CMCU is going to take down an event. I'm really excited that it was the 4th event of the season. Just really came in. I mean, we only discovered CMCU maybe a month ago, and has already come in and taken down a Super Magical Cup crown. That is also the crown goes from Grubby last week back into the Elite Gaming clan this week with CMC's win.
Yes.
So even though Raintown, Naders, Clark Kent got bumped in the earlier rounds, when you have enough good players enter the event, your clan can have the glory too.
Yeah. He took out Raintown himself too. You know,
avenge that sad kill that he had to do. Let's see what's going on in chat. Let's see what does everyone in chat think about that.
How old is CMC Hughes? 74 years old.
Set the tempo for the match. We're talking. Nice. Zayden needs to be a little more aggressive. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to point out from the chat. We noticed a few times where there would have been a great opportunity for a Hog Rider to come through, but Zadian was like, oh, I'm only at 4 or 5. I don't want to play the Hog Rider, but not realizing that CMC was actually at like 1, and that Hog Rider would have gotten through and done a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's really important to have a good assessment of how Elixir is going and where the cycle is in your opponent's deck. All right. Let's see.
Filet minion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did make that.
ESL. What was Stark's Expo deck? Yeah, let's pull that
one
back up.
That was a really interesting deck. I like that deck.
So now let's look at the two cool decks that we really liked that just didn't quite make it. We're gonna get the chats all filled up so we can show it. Actually, it was from
the first game or the second game that Stark played, I believe.
Is it Pete? Oh. Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
There we go. So here was the Expo log deck.
Man, let's take a closer look at this. So when I initially saw this deck, what the big things I pointed out was that basically you're relying on your crossbow for damage on tower. There's no other choice, right?
Yeah.
Like Mini Peg is not going to get anywhere. Guards will do a good amount of damage, but they're not. It's not Giant. It's not Lava Hound, right? It's none of those big fat cards. And Ice Spirit and Fire Spirit are very kind of like, you know, they're there and then they're not. Yeah.
Well, he's got 3 cards of 2 or less that can help cycle. So theoretically, I think this more so than say Woody's Expo deck. Can cycle back to Expo really quickly. So maybe what it could do, which we didn't see, but we didn't watch a lot of his games earlier in the tournament, was that you could potentially play a defensive Expo.
Yeah.
Cycle, and then play your offensive Expo with the defensive Expo covering for it.
Which is a good point, and I'm scanning through this game just to point out exactly, Rob Stark did exactly that, and that's how he earned a big win. So there's one point, I think the first Expo he plays, CMC Hugh plays a very fantastic defense against it. Elixir even, but CMC Hugh didn't get a counter push off of it. And we're talking about like, that's probably pretty okay for CMC. So here's the first crossbow. So let's pause this here. I don't know if we necessarily need to go half speed, but
so 8 to 5. Now it's 11 to 5.
So he plays the guards, and still just the barbarians out there. The princess to help and the zap. Yeah.
12 to 10.
Yeah. But notice already for Rob Stark that the crossbow is already on deck.
12. So 12 to 12. So this ended up being, you're right, totally Elixir even, 12 to 12. No damage on the tower.
But look at that.
But a lot of information. A lot of information for the player to know what they have to counter your Expo with. And you're right, like he can cycle so quickly that theoretically he could just play another one really soon.
He has the option to play Fire Spirits and then crossbow. Yeah. And he also has the option to just wait and then play Lightning as a response to Triple Musketeer and then crossbow himself again, right? So I just feel like this cycle is just so strong for Stark, and I think he does end up just playing the Fire Spirits naked, I believe. We'll see.
I think he splits them behind the King Tower.
We'll see. We'll see what he does. But really, it's surprising how quick that crossbow turns up again. Yeah, he splits them behind the tower. He sees that, and in this situation, you already know you have an answer to the Triple Musketeers. You have Lightning in hand. You know that you can just let them walk all the way across the bridge and then just kill them right before they actually get any damage off. And look at how much damage he gets on that tower. Okay, so this is his second crossbow play. Log against the Musketeers, and we were commenting how great that worked out. But if we fast forward here just a little bit, you're going to see that he already has his next crossbow on deck, and he's going to be able to play it again.
Yep. Multiple Expo. I think Woody's deck definitely set up for more of like the single lethal Expo. Maybe plays like 2 a game. It seems like Rob Stark gets a lot of value out of cycling it. And the log was really impressive. I mean, log kills Princess, which is something you really struggle with because they play a Princess in the opposite lane. It can just sit there and shoot at your Expo, and your Expo doesn't lock onto it. Yeah. So having an easy way to kill it from across the river, I think, is good. It's all pretty good.
Cool. So, Super Magical Cup number 4 champion is going to be CMC Hugh. Congratulations to Zadian for making second place. Marcus 35, and ESL Yo for getting third and fourth, all in the money.
Yeah,
all
first
in the
time
money.
for I think all 4 of these players actually being in the cash money. So a fresh-faced top 4. Congratulations to CMC Hugh, who was already one of the higher point people on our point leaderboard, jumps way up the list with 500 points, and of course takes home $200 in Amazon gift cards. Zadian walks home with $100 and 300 points. Both of our top 4 competitors get 200 points on the point leaderboard and $50 each. All of these points add up to the Season 2 Championship on September 24th. That's going to be, we're going to take the top people by points. So CMC Hugh has definitely made a good case for him to be there, as has Zadian. If you would like to join Season 2, make sure to go sign up at supermagicalcup.com. If you scroll down, there's a little sign up. If you go look, sign up for Season 2, you're going to get an email that has qualifier names, times, and passwords. Play in the qualifiers. And, if you get some points, you can be invited to these weekly events. You do well at the weekly events, you get a lot of points. And you can be in here as well.
Absolutely. I really like reading the chat. Marcel P. in there trying to represent.
He's saying he'll be here next week. He's like, I'll be there in 2 weeks in a row. You'll watch.
That's absolutely what we want. And Rob Stark is in the chat, too.
Oh, yeah. Rob Stark, Master Sparky.
Yeah. Great to see all these players kind of interacting. And
yeah, pretty great. So, yeah, definitely make some friends there in the Twitch chat. And yeah, it is 287 at level 7. Oh, is that pre-nerf? Did I have to update the hog one?
Oh, yeah.
I believe that. Okay, I'll go take a look at that. Rumham, you're actually pretty good at this game. Why don't you enter? Because I got a host. Sometimes on my stream I play. I had a tournament on my stream with my free-to-play account. It was my level 8 free-to-play account, and Woody entered the tournament, and I had to play Woody with my level 8 account. And he beat me.
And you want? Oh.
Yeah, no. But he earned it. We went deep into overtime. He had to earn it.
He has earned it. Yeah. Or maybe he was just like,
Yeah. I'm definitely a good player. I am definitely not this level of player. I'll tell you that much. I think that I'm right at that level. If I were a Super Magical Cup competitor, I think I would be getting bounced in round 3 about every week. I don't think I would ever make the top 8. But
I would be bounced in round 1.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
That's good. I love commenting. I definitely think that if you're a player who wants to get better, watching the Super Magical Cup and really learning these players is the absolute best way to get better at the game. I feel like I get better just from watching these interactions, learning the placements and all that. And this is definitely the place to go if you want to see the hot new decks in the meta. I mean, this is the Super Magical Cup is the first place that really popularized minor decks, triple legendary decks. I would say the trifecta deck became very popular here, also on the ladder. Giant Poison Clyde really was the innovator of both the Lava Hound Poison and the Giant Poison archetypes. This is like the place to be if you want to see the best players playing the best decks week in and week out.
And you guys have probably gone, like Clark Kent is there. You guys have Clark Kent, goddamn. You guys have gone into sneak preview over some things that might explode.
Yeah.
Minor Hog, any combination of that. Yep. Barbarian splitting with Triple Musketeer. Uses of Lightning. There's a lot of games to look through. Yeah. Crossbow decks to look at. So I strongly encourage you guys to investigate if you have the cards, if you have the situation to do so. So that's it for our broadcast this week. Make sure you tune in and make sure you sign up at www.supermagicalcup.com to get yourself information on our open qualifier tournaments to play against the very best. You can play against CMC Hugh, Patriots 34, ESL Yo. You can play against all these players and have your chance at entering the Invitational. There's still a lot of spots available to put yourself on the leaderboard, and you're never too late, right? Winning a first place at an invitation will catapult you up to the top 16 for sure. Yeah. So
make sure to follow on Twitch. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. We're on YouTube as well as Super Magical Cup, one word. All of these top 8 games are going to go on YouTube. Make sure to give us a follow here, subscribe there, and sign up for Season 2, and we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.